Hello.
All right. Today we're going to deal with the subject that at first can seem simple, and to most people that don't understand it, will seem not that important. Not realizing this is like the foundation of most of the mythology of the world
Okay.
that we're dealing with. The understanding this, it all starts to seem the same, and also following like patterns. They don't all do it exactly the same way, but cosmic ocean, which really means to them, because we don't think like them,
Right.
they mean sky, space is water.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
ocean. And that
It's
everything that is
yeah.
floating in there is floating in the ocean. This reminds me of the people don't grasp the thing about the turtles, right? And they say, well, what's under that turtle? Because they're lacking the concept. It's not floating in space like a balloon. It's floating on top of water
Okay.
or in water, in a sense. Like if you took a hard-boiled egg and you threw it in the water, it doesn't sink to the bottom.
Right.
It floats, in a sense, but only
So the
half.
turtle is swimming.
Right, swimming. Right, yeah. So just so people grasp it, because that's why when someone says, "Look, what's under the turtle?" in a sense, the ocean, the cosmic
Right.
ocean, which is to us space.
Yeah.
So not really water. But anyways, so because it's like I said, it's so important to understand. We're going to watch the video first, then we're going to talk about what the video did, then we'll get to the blog, because I know no one understands this, and so I want to try to get on the same page that I'm on as quick as possible so you can grasp it. So the water also relates to the mound of creation that comes out of the water, or a mountain that comes out of the water, or a mountain's on the water and does something with the water.
Okay.
And then also sometimes snakes in the water, snakes around the mountain. Snake is the water. Snake fell from sky to make the water as a snake, which
Okay.
is the Milky Way. All different kinds of stuff like that, but it's all really similar. So this is really good, because this story in Hinduism tells us everything that Damien wants to tell, in a sense. It relates to the cosmic water. It also relates to the special mountain. But that mountain also relates to like a mound of creation. And it actually is held up by a turtle.
Okay.
And this also eventually is why I told you I think they're inspired. And I know the Egyptians call a thing inside their temple the Mount of Creation, and say their whole pyramid and structures and everything are related to the Mount of Creation.
Okay.
The thing on top is often like a special stone, a bin stone, talking about the Egyptians. And sometimes it was gold, like the whole pyramid would be white and the top would be gold. And that was, in a sense, Ra, or a sun deity resting on top of the mountain as
Okay.
his throne or whatever. Did you get it?
Sort
Like
of.
Zeus and all that. Well, I'm
Right.
saying like Zeus, but I mean, so all this relates to stuff we talked about before about mounds and all that. But this is how you get to that. You got to understand it starts somewhere and then it builds. But this
Okay.
one, so you understand, this is probably at least 4,000 and under. So the myth is at least 6,000, if not, of course, I think more. But I mean, it's certainly, my point is that the older myths, like in Babylon, Egypt, they're all related in a sense from
Right.
Siberia. All this stuff, just that's why the Americas and China and Europe and because of Siberia.
Right.
So, but of course, it got some of its stuff from the Middle East, and also from Europe, and also from China. So I mean, it's multicultural. That's like the whole purity thing. As to me, I just go, yeah, and they're like, well, our mythology. I'm like, that's not really how you should see it.
It's not even how it worked.
No,
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to say. And this thing is, actually, all these are, in a sense, a version of a similar, larger mytheme.
Okay.
Okay. So that's because we're going to do the Egyptians, we're going to do the things too, but this is the Hindu. And if you listen, it's doing all the stuff that also relates to the Native Americans. They say they build their mounds because of the Mount of Creation. And it has to do with the earth diver and the turtle. Yeah. Like, or all relates to this stuff. And Yeah, that's same with the Hindus too. That we're going to see that. I'm just saying that once you grasp that, I think it makes it easier to see how it's all related. It also relates all to a flat Earth and a firmament, a round disc above the sky, and yeah,
Right.
I know some people are watching this going, what? Yeah, I know. We'll watch the video first and then we'll talk. They say a bunch of. In fact, I wish I could cut out some of the middle because I think they give too much information, and I just kind of want it. It's like the beginning, and then like cut out the middle, and then like the end. If they were together, that's I wish I could have, but
that's the kind of thing, yeah.
Because they bring up too much stuff. It doesn't. We don't need to know that. That's one thing I was going to say about why it's easier once you understand the way I do, because you don't actually have to know all the myth. You know the parts that matter and the parts that relate to other myths. So.
Good enough, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll bring it up here. And there we are.
And this is Hinduism.
Okay.
The enfeebled gods. The Devas fled, allowing Asuras to take control.
Also, a second. A diva is a god or a goddess or whatever.
Okay.
A deity. It means deity in a sense, or super spirit or something.
Okay.
Just so you know who they're talking about, the gods. And then the other things are like evil gods, or sort of like, the dark version. That doesn't, like I said, that doesn't really matter too much. But that's how the swirling and stuff, in a sense, becomes the water. You just keep watching.
Okay.
In their hour of need, the Devas turned to Lord Vishnu, the preserver of the universe, who advised them to churn the cosmic ocean of milk, Kshira Sagara, and obtain Amrit, the nectar of immortality. Such a task, however, lies beyond the diminished might of the Devas alone. It would require an uneasy alliance with the very foes who usurped their realm, the Asuras. Though hesitant, both the Devas and Asuras, bound by desperation and the allure of immortality, agreed to the arrangement, understanding the potential gains. A churning rod was needed, and what better than the towering Mount Mandara, the majestic mountain.
Pause for a second. So it's already told you something that I've told you before, which doesn't make sense unless you just hear that they just said it. A towering rod or the mountain.
Right.
So a rod and a mountain, the same thing. Remember I told you, I know that doesn't make sense because even like in the creation myth for the, is it Choctaw? I think.
Okay.
So, I know so much sometimes I forget
yeah.
Anyway. That their mythology, they have a Mount of Creation, which actually isn't even theirs. It's actually an older, cultures that they just call that their Mount of Creation.
Okay.
This is where we came from. In a sense, they have a similar DNA to those people. So, kind of, or maybe they're remembering, in a sense, an idea that does sort of relate. And whether they knew this or not, who knows exactly. But, anyways. But one of the things how they get there is someone brings this red pole, and when the pole can stand up by itself, then in a sense you're in the axis mundi, or the center of the world, which this is. The mountain is. So the pole, the mountain, and it also relates to going up to sky, like on the Milky Way, like what they call like the river of heaven, or say like the river Styx. It's the one that goes from this world to space, because the stars are heaven. And those are all ancestors. That's where we're going to live. But I'm saying this is not like one myth. This is like a whole bunch.
Like kind of all of them in a sense.
Yeah, like they're not really as special as they like to think they are.
Right.
Anyways, so I'm just trying to help you understand what's going on. And we've talked about also mountains and stuff. I was just saying because I know when I'm trying to break these shows up to relate on one aspect, but really they all actually goes together. Right.
Yeah. It's all the same set of myths or whatever that blend together. Yeah.
Right. Which as we start doing it, Corey, you're going to start realizing isn't this the same shit?
That's weird, eh? Okay.
With its peaks kissing the heavens and roots delving deep into the earth, was chosen to stir the cosmic ocean, Kshira Sagara. But a rod alone couldn't churn the vast cosmic ocean. They needed a rope, and so they turned to Vasuki, the king of serpents. Unfurling his enormous body, Vasuki wrapped around the mountain, his scales glistening in the ethereal light of the cosmos. With the Devas at one end and the Asuras at the other, the churning began.
Pause for a second. And remember, before when we had a thing on the egg, right? Remember?
Yep.
We talked about, the cosmic egg. Remember, the snake wraps around the cosmic egg. So once again, the cosmic egg also has to do with this, the Axis Mundi and the Mount of Creation and the mountain and the pole and anyways.
Yeah. So the pole, the mountain, the rod, and the egg kind of all are the same idea in a sense.
Yeah, right. They're all these related. And sometimes they even like Vishnu, who starts all this, started in the egg.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and also remember I told you when the egg cracks open, they think that the yellow is the sun, and then the other stuff is like the sky. And then the shell is like heaven and earth and hell and whatever.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
The colossal task was fraught with challenges. The weight of Mount Mandara was too much, and it began to sink into the endless cosmic ocean. Seeing this, Lord Vishnu took the form of Kurma, a giant turtle. With his immense strength, he bore the weight of the mountain on his back, ensuring it would not sink and the churning could continue. The ocean frothed and roiled under the strain of the churning. Something unexpected happened. Instead of the...
Yeah, we don't need to watch anymore.
Yeah, so that's it, eh? Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's more to the myth, but
right. But that's
we're not trying to learn Hinduism today.
Right. I kept getting distracted because I think I recognize some of these images. These are AI generated images that I think I've seen before. But no.
Right. Yeah. I'm trying to get religious stuff. So yeah, I'm sure lots of people. There's a lot of people who are Hindu or Indian, so they're going to be
lots of AI stuff. Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying is they're going to want all about this to understand their own mythology.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
But anyways, but I'm not trying to do it in a sense to understand their mythology. I'm trying to do to hear the myth that these all have. Right. And so let's go to. I sent you a Wikipedia page for the myth. This is what the myth is in Samudra Mahadra, whatever. I'm not.
Yeah, Manthana. I mean, I don't know how it's actually pronounced, but that's how I would pronounce it.
Right on.
Okay.
So, anyways, if you go down here, it says that the word is really relating to sea and large body of water. That's that name.
Right.
Do you see how I'm just saying? All this stuff is relating, and they call it the ocean of milk.
Right. So kind of like the Milky Way in a way.
Right. See, you're getting it. And then there's a part down here that says the churning ocean of milk was extended, was an extensive process. And then it says Mount Mahendra was uprooted and used as the churning rod.
Right.
See, and then you hear rod again, like I told you. This I was saying to you too is, because someone forwarded to me said, Damien, I think it's ridiculous because this was an archaeologist. And I know he didn't know mythology, so I'll give him a break on that. But he was like, Damien, you can't say that that people's sacred mountains also relates to rods and totem poles and axis. And it goes, they don't. And I'm like, yes, I can.
Some myths explicitly connect the two, right?
Yeah, I'm like, right. And then when you hear a lot of these things, you start going, oh yeah, because they're in the center of this and that, and anyways. But see, and like I said, people that don't know all this stuff, I know they go. It's like when I was saying, I know why all the pyramids are made. They're all made for the similar mythology.
Right.
That's why they kind of are similar. I also like the archaeologists say piling rocks a certain way. Yeah, but a lot of it isn't like it's not the why. Why they wanted to make it. Yeah. Maybe it's easy to make it a certain way, but why they wanted to make these mountains was absolutely because of all this.
Right.
It's because of their religion. I don't know, crazy, right? People build Christian shit all the time or whatever, mosques or
Yeah, people build shit for their belief systems, right?
Right, totally.
Yeah.
Right. And anarchists do. It's just called humanity and flourishing future for all. We don't need monuments in our honor. The monument in our honor would be a flourishing society.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
you're starting to get a lot of this stuff is similar. Now we'll get off. We're not going to be doing more of that. Let's go to the mountain now. So
Okay.
I just need the one for the mount, so we can read
Yep.
about it real quick.
Mount Mandara.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then go down where it says depiction. It says the depiction of churning of the ocean of milk, which is the cosmic ocean, became very popular in art.
Yeah, in Khmer art, perhaps because their creation myth involved a Naga ancestor. It is a popular motif in both Khmer and Thai art. Okay.
Right, and then click on what a Naga ancestor is.
Okay.
In how many? Just one, right?
Let's see. In various Asian religion traditions.
Not one. Various.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, Corey. Are we finding like hidden truths again?
Various.
Right. If it's in various, it's probably a hidden truth all these are sharing, right?
Right.
So going back to like what I was saying, just same thing with the Native Americans is just even though they all don't have exactly the same turtle myth, a whole bunch of them have turtle stuff.
Yeah, it's like
it's the similar thing. And so China is not any different, or Asia, whatever, it's not any different. And that's what I'm trying to show you is actually that they aren't any really different. There are different versions of like similar stuff. That's why. But everybody thinks that they were whole cloth, like invented in their own area. No. Not anymore that the idea of stone tools was somehow invented, whole cloth, every single time. No, a lot of that stuff was passed down.
For sure. Yeah. It seems weird to think that people would have to invent it brand new everywhere that they are.
But also, like we talked about, it believes in the fact that when people move, they stop believing their old beliefs, which is not true now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
In fact, it's the complete opposite, right?
Yeah. And the fact that they're not identical, I think, speaks to just the evolution of things over time, right? Like
well, and also different cultures do have different needs and different things. One can have a mountain belief, but if you live in a grassland with no mountains, then you must have a different thing. I guess ladybugs or something, or turtles, or what what I'm saying. You just switch it, and because that also was still part of the myth, anyways, right?
Right.
So if you that's what I'm trying to say is so say if one just says no mountain but says pole. I know it's the same thing.
Right.
What if it says mountain and no poles? I know it's still the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You get what I'm trying to say? Is or turtle. You're like, oh, I know it's the same thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So, okay, let's go back. I just want you to get that part that's many traditions in Asia because I'm trying to show you that all this stuff is not a one-off.
Right.
Actually, like I told you, to me, none of this actually is. That's what I'm trying to teach people. So let's go to the blog.
Okay.
Which I sent it to you, didn't I?
Yep. I have water and mythology, water deities and creation.
Yes.
Yep.
Where did I?
It's up a little bit, I guess. Yeah.
I said several things.
Yeah.
Right. So this picture right here in the front, you see it?
Yep.
Right. This is all about basically Mesopotamia beliefs, or like the earliest ones. And the first deity that's pouring the water, that one is like the ocean or cosmic ocean. And then I'm pouring it because then later, that's the Sumerians. And then you get to I think it's the Babylonians, and then they create a different Tiamat belief, which is still now the water, in a sense, monster. Or cosmic ocean, but now with the snake. Just like the mountain, right, in Hinduism had a snake.
Right.
Trying to help you understand how these things are similar. Now let's go down and read a little bit about her.
So it says the being in the top middle is Namu. Namu, also read Nama, was a Mesopotamian goddess regarded as a creator deity in the local theology of Eridu. Eridu was a Sumerian city located at Tel Abu Shahrain, an archaeological site in southern Mesopotamia. It is located in Kar Governorate, Iraq, near the modern city of Basra. Eridu is traditionally believed to be the earliest city in southern Mesopotamia, based on the Sumerian king list. Located 12 kilometers southwest of the ancient site of Ur, Eridu was the southernmost of a conglomeration of Sumerian cities that grew around temples, almost in sight of one another. The city gods of Eridu were Enki and his consort Damkina. Enki, later known as Ea, was considered to have founded the city. His temple was called Abzu, as Enki was believed to live in Abzu, an aquifer from which all life was believed to stem. According to Sumerian temple hymns, another name for the temple of Ea Enki was called Asira, or another way of spelling that is with 2 R's. Eridu is one of the earliest settlements in the region, founded circa 5400 BCE during the early Ubaid
so
period.
You add 2,000 years to that, so it's 7,000.
400 years old.
Correct. Well, it'd be 425 because we're 20,
Yeah.
You just add the 25 too.
Right. During the early Ubaid period, at that time close to the Persian Gulf, near the mouth of the Euphrates River, though in modern times about 90 miles inland. Excavation was shown that the city was founded on a virgin sand dune site with no previous habitation, with possible breaks in occupation in the early dynastic III and the Akkadian Empire periods. The city was inhabited up to the Neo-Babylonian, though in later times it was primarily a cultic site. According to the excavators, construction of the Ur-3 ziggurat and associated buildings were preceded by the destruction of preceding construction and its use as leveling fill, so no remains from that time were found. At a small mound 1 kilometer north of Eridu, near 2 early dynastic III palaces were found with an enclosure wall. The palaces measured 45 meters by 65 meters with a 2.6 meter wide walls, and were constructed in the standard early dynastic period method of plano convex bricks laid in a herringbone fashion.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's skip down to where it says Tiamat seen is a long dragon-like snake being, whatever.
Okay. So Tiamat seen in the long snake dragon-like being. In Mesopotamian religion, Tiamat is the primordial sea, mating with Abzu, the groundwater, to produce the gods in the Babylonian epic Enuma Elish, which translates as...
they're saying that, in a sense, the cosmic ocean and then the fresh water, under the ground, because they also thought salt water was another thing. So the sky water, which of course falls and you can drink it, right? Rain. And then you could drink groundwater. So they thought they thought the mixing of those made the deities, in a sense.
Okay, that's interesting.
But anyway, so it just shows you how important water is. I'm just saying all this primordial water, cosmic ocean, primordial ocean, sea, whatever,
Yep.
All right, so let's go down to the next picture.
Okay.
Right. So now we see that water deity, right? The waterier one. This is Egyptian, and that's the primordial cosmic ocean. And see the Ben mound that arose from the primordial waters. See, just like we just watched in the little Hindu thing.
Right. Yeah. Pretty similar.
Similar. And as you see with the Ben, it looks like a pyramid. It actually is the top of the pyramid.
Right.
Anyways, I'm just showing you that it's and then what sits on top of that is the sun god.
Okay. Yep. Which in this case is that the god Atum in this picture?
Correct.
That's the sun god.
Correct. Okay. So you see, but what I'm saying is, a lot of them are doing this similar stuff.
Yeah.
And everyone thinks they're all separate. No. So go ahead and read what it says down there, the creation myth.
Sure. In the creation myth of the Heliopolitan form of the ancient Egyptian religion, Benben was the mound that arose from the primordial waters, Nu, upon which the creator deity Atum settled. The Benben stone, Pyramidion, is the top stone of the pyramid. Nu, watery one, or Nun, the inert one, from ancient Egyptian. In ancient Egyptian religion is the personification of the primordial watery abyss which existed at the time of creation and from which the creator sun god Ra arose. Nu is one of the 8 deities of the Ogdoad, representing ancient Egyptian primordial chaos from which the primordial mound arose. None can...
Right. Do you see how it... And then they have, like I said, inside the madrasas, before they ever, just so people know that, to also connect why madrasas and pyramids are similar. They're not some new thing. Because in the madrasas, like the old ones, they would put a little mound of creation inside there.
Okay.
And so then in a sense, the pyramids just started representing, or the top of them, a mound of creation, but now like glorified to its highest,
Right. Huh.
I'm just showing you that in a sense, but the myth was already there. But once again, to me, the myth isn't really just theirs. I mean, Hindus got shit like, and then the older and closer, probably influencing them, the Egyptians, was the Sumerians, and they also have one.
Right. Yeah, so the idea is that, like, yeah, these are all related in a way and they're so similar that you can almost just point at them and say, like, yes, these are obviously related in some way.
Yeah, and then of course all of these people are building pyramids, including the people in Hindus, pyramid-like structures. Yeah, because all of this is related.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They all build like the mounds, and then they place like things on top of it to represent like whatever the mound of creation and whatnot, and yeah, that's their temples and whatever.
Right. So, but I'm just saying, when you start to understand this, so let's go down and read the mound of creation, because it says right there, mound of creation.
Sure. Mound of creation. Ancient Egyptian temples were not just homes for the gods; they were also replicas of the universe at the moment of creation.
Oh, see, don't you love it when I'm wrong?
Yeah.
So, like I told you, you do need to understand this stuff, because actually, once you do, you understand all of it. Mm-hmm. In a sense, also, I feel like either one thing would have to be true. Someone who even believes this, right? That believes these religions. Either there's actually one true religion, and all of you are just have diverted from the
variation.
Original.
Yeah, right.
Right. You diverted from the original, right?
Yeah.
And what else are you doing, right? If you're not, if the original wasn't like this, then you're the change. Anyways. So, or they're all not true, and this is just stories. Like I say, religion is a cultural product.
Yeah.
Religion moved in cultural migrations.
Makes sense.
Because see, I say cultural migrations, not people migrations, because sometimes culture moves and people don't.
Right, depending on a variety of other factors.
Variety of reasons. Sometimes trade, but sometimes powerful ones' influence just becomes culturally over. Sometimes the opposite. Weak people see powerful people and they want to emulate them to look or be powerful.
Right.
And so, but I don't really care like how it's happening. What I'm trying to tell you, it moved in a cultural migration.
Right. Yeah, makes sense.
That is what happened. And that's also why I wanted to show like this right here, because what it shows, and that's what all these 15 videos, remember, about mythology are trying to show the similar thing, is that all this is really connected. There's too much that's connected for it to have been like just one random myth by itself.
Right.
There's a lot of similarities, like not one, but multiple. That also to me shows that it's not an accident. One deity maybe could be an accident, but the deities, and then how they see the world, and then how they see the cosmos, and how they see water, and how they see, it's like and tons and tons of things. You're like, and they have like lots of dualism, or the two brothers, or I mean, it's just they cut eggs, and I mean, you start going. So that's why, and I have a thing where we're going to talk about more, about which deity and things, but I'm just trying to help you understand how water is like this foundation they all share.
Right.
But it's not even just that. Several other things like mountains and poles, and
for sure,
which ends up being pyramids and mounds and kurgans and dolmens and whatever.
Yeah, it seems like so they kind of all start with like their chaotic waters in a sense.
Correct. Or sometimes the water is not chaotic, but yes, a lot of them. So you're correct. The more than likely you would think that the original myth that goes back to the thing probably was not calm. Probably was chaotic. Because a majority of them do this. And then, so the outliers I see are especially in areas that seem culturally removed, probably from Siberia, like I said, Yeah. Okay. So Lake Baikal to the Golden Mountain, Altai Mountains to, maybe over to almost Korea or whatever,
Right.
The border over there, the whole area. So North China a little bit. That whole area to me, I told you, is kind of like almost explains why everybody believes everything, mythology wise. Maybe not. I'm not saying 100% every single religion is connected in this way. There may have been a couple that people like making shit up. So it's not impossible that someone just invented a few of these but the majority is exactly what I'm saying.
Right.
This is the norm. So I'm not saying it's impossible and there's an outlier, but it would be an outlier. The norm is this.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Just like I try to say to me, that's why I explain it. It starts out in animism, where they're just kind of believing the world's magical in a sense, which can happen to children.
Right.
Before 7. It's not all children, because they used to think all children, but then they tested and not all children. Some
just
children don't do that, but it's a norm. It's easy. It's definitely a norm. So, and I told you that I could see how if somebody facilitates you to never stop that, well, then you're religious. I mean,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're not engaged or like in a way that says no, this isn't spiritual. So you continue to believe it, and then
you see like all the things they call spiritual, right, Corey? Like energies and stuff, and all the wisdom of the sages. This is it. All this nonsense that all relates to all of it. It was always just stories.
Right.
I'm trying to help people grasp that in the most real way I can.
Yeah.
And so let's go down to where it says Egyptian still buried mound of creation.
Okay. Ancient Egypt's still buried mound of creation, an extremely well-preserved tomb at Saqqara near Cairo. It belonged to a high priest called Wati and is more than 4,000 years old.
Right, and then go ahead and read the next thing.
Akil Andeshwari and the Lingam, pillar-like mound, symbol of Shiva, pseudo-male sex organ, made of stone, metal, gem, wood, or clay, or mound of creation like.
Right, and I'm trying to show you this. That way you keep going down. And then there's a picture, right? And it shows a lingam and the yoni. And what this is, this is the inside of the womb. That thing, that bulge. Everyone thinks that the bulge is, in a sense, the penis. Well, their concept is the lingam, penis, or whatever or cosmic egg is in there. But that, in a sense, is seeing it from the womb side or whatever. That's like if you're inside looking at something coming at you, or whatever. You get what I'm saying? Okay. Just to understand how you're supposed to conceive of what's going on. So it also then makes a mound of creation, does it not?
Right, right.
Little mound, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm just, and also, if you notice, where is it, Corey? Is it up on a dry altar?
Yeah, like it's above it's floating on top of the thing on top of the water.
Right.
Or
So it's in the water. Remember,
Yeah.
we're talking about cosmic water.
Right.
And so they want to show this supposed cosmic thing in a sense, or whatever, creation, but they also show that floating in the cosmic water, which, like I told
Right.
you, so you get the symbolism.
Yeah, it's
There's
not
some-
it's not on dry land.
No, it's not. But I'm just making a comment. That's not an accident. That would be on purpose,
Right.
because that's part of the religion. That's the cosmic water in a sense. Anyways, trying to help you grasp how it is all sort of the same. And then read where it says lingam.
Okay, so it says lingam, the sexualization is criticized by Stella Kramrisch and Morris Winternitz, who opines that the lingam in the Shiva tradition is only a symbol of the productive and creative principle of nature as embodied in Shiva, and it has no historical trace in any obscene phallic cult. According to Alex Wayman, various works on Shaivism by some Indian authors, following the Shaiva philosophical texts and spiritual interpretations, deny that the linga is a phallus. To the Shaivites, a linga is neither a phallus nor do they practice the worship of erotic penis vulva. Rather, the linga yoni is a symbol of cosmic mysteries, the creative powers, and the metaphor for the spiritual truths of their faith.
Right. And what is their faith is basically the mound of creation comes out of the primordial waters.
Right.
Which is also Egyptian, which is also Sumerian, which is also Native American and Chinese, and is, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be like, so these people that study this stuff, they're basically saying that this is not a penis, this is not like a genitals in any way, this is
right. That's one interpretation. I was also explaining the ones that do see it as a penis. I'm explaining how it is.
Right.
You're seeing a penis coming in from the inside, but that also makes the mound of creation. But that also, the lingam used to be an egg, so Shiva was an egg or whatever. So the point is, it still goes back to all the similar and same stuff. So that's what they mean by it's not exactly sexual or worship of the sexual, because it's also an egg. So then it's not a penis in a sense.
Right.
But it is in the sense that a pole is also a mountain, is also a mound, is also a pyramid, is also a kurgan, a dolmen. You start to understand this stuff.
It could even have like multiple symbologies behind it or ideas behind it.
True, right, correct. I'm trying to show you though that they are still doing the same thing, even when they're doing this thing. They're like, oh, look, it's just different. And no, it's not really different.
Right.
So anyway, let's just go down to the next picture. This is, remember we talked about before my thoughts on the mounds and how they relate. And this is actually a picture of an actual real mound, and there's water literally around it.
Right.
And there's actually, you see more than one that have water around it. Because, this one's also, one of them is white, which I told you is similar to what they did for the pyramid, was to make it white and then make it gold on top like the sun.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, so you start to see, like I see it, to me, the shell mounds, the dolmens, the kurbans, the earth mounds, the pyramids, these are all relatively related things.
Right.
Especially through mythology, not like exactly that has to be the structures, which that's also kind of similar, but I'm talking about related through because the mythology. See the primordial waters, cosmic egg, earth diver, mound of creation, axis mundi, world mountain, world tree. Because actually, if you keep watching that video too, after the world mountain, then it talks about the world tree, right? Because it basically has everything. And the world tree also sometimes, holds the snake, like the apple and the snake.
Right.
The Bible. Right. So, yeah. So go ahead where it says, I am rather.
Sure. I am rather sure about the mound order, but not sure about the order of the mythology, as mounds can be set in time by archaeology. To me, mounds relate mainly to the mound of creation, primeval mound/hill/mountain that emerges out of the water, or the axis mundi, thinking, cosmic axis, world pillar, the center of the world tree, sacred mountain/world mountain, etc., such as Mount Olympus in Greek mythology, or are related to famous mounds, events like Mount Sinai in Judaism and descendant religions, or Mount Kailash, Mount Meru in Hinduism. In some cases, the sacred mountain is purely mythical, like the Hara Barazati in Zoroastrianism. Mount Kailash is believed to be the abode of the deities Shiva and Parvati, and is considered sacred in 4 religions: Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. Volcanoes such as Mount Etna in Italy.
Right, but you see right there, even there, right? It's in all those religions.
Right. Yeah. It's
right.
not.
And everybody's
just
like,
one
well, I'm
of them.
Buddhism. I'm different than Hinduism, or like, yeah, well, they all have the same thing. So
variations on a theme. You're kind of similar.
Or he's like, yeah, but Damien's taught me.
That's right.
That's not true.
You might feel different, but you're not that different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You do have actually a world religion.
Right.
Yeah, and you're killing each other over this world religion with its different versions.
Right. Yeah, no, that's the bizarre thing.
Right. And also just imagine you're hating all the ones that were the traditional.
Right.
Branched off the traditional. You know, like when the Europeans came to the Native Americans and literally have the similar religion that all is doing the similar stuff.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh no, but they're savages and theirs isn't even a religion. Like,
right.
What the fuck? They have some of the myths, if you break them down, that are the same myths as you have. They do have the 2 brothers, you know, like Cain and Abel you have. Yeah, one of them kills the other one. Crazy, right? Yeah. Not because of your stories either.
Yeah.
Even sometimes, like, they have different ones of different figures that are doing similar stuff to the Bible or whatever. But it's just and so does Egypt has the 2 brothers, because one of them, in a sense, is Horus, and one of them, you know, one, right, and one kills the other one. Oh, you know, like all the same shit. Yeah, it is sort of, totally. Anyway, so that's what I'm saying is you start going. They're kind of all, or a lot of them are telling the similar myths, but they're throwing like their own little spin on it.
Right.
So then let's go down to read now what it says: cosmic ocean, space as an ocean.
Okay. So primordial sea, cosmic ocean, primordial waters, or celestial river is a mythological motif that represents the world or cosmos enveloped by a vast primordial ocean. Found in many cultures and civilizations, the cosmic ocean exists before the creation of the earth. From the primordial waters, the earth and the entire cosmos arose. The cosmic ocean represents or embodies chaos. The concept of a watery chaos also underlies the widespread motif of the worldwide flood that took place in early times. The emergence of
Corey's like, what, the flood? Oh, shit. Well, of course, Corey, what happens if your world is water?
Seems like
flood.
A flood. Yeah.
So once again, floods are not special.
Right. Yeah, it's reiteration of the same kind of idea.
Exactly.
The emergence of the earth from water and the curbing of the global flood or underground waters are usually presented as a factor in cosmic ordering. In creation myths, it is common for the primordial ocean to be separated into upper and lower bounds of water, i.e., cosmic bodies of water located above the sky or below the earth, by the creation of a solid structure known as firmament. Some cosmologies depict the world plane as being surrounded by a circular ocean river, such as Oceanus in Greek cosmology or Ranja in Zoroastrian cosmology. The cosmic ocean is also present in the mythology of ancient Egyptians, ancient Greeks, Jews, ancient Indians, ancient Persians, Sumerians, and Zoroastrians. It plays a prominent role.
And a bunch more. It's not even limited to them, but
right. Yeah.
But which even if it was just them, though, that's pretty much a lot of the religions of the world.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of branches off of those ones, eh?
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess, it says it also plays a prominent role in the ancient Near Eastern, biblical, and other cosmologies.
Right. Because, of course, that's what I'm trying to show you is all of this actually is related. So it's not like an accident.
Right.
And it's not even just that I'm saying it. I've also shown it. We've done other videos people can watch where, like the Earth Diver one, and the mounds, we really, explain more how they relate. But even it's just the mythology wise, there's enough evidence just with the mythology to start going, okay, this stuff is not accidental.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty clearly an evolution of ideas.
Yeah. Right. So like I said, either people need to start, thinking of them as all related, because that's more accurate. And or that they need to, if they think it's true, they need to go back to the original one that wasn't all this and didn't have monotheism either. So you got to go back to
Deities. Yeah, you got to go back to your multi-gods and
yeah, right. I mean, that is accurate. What you're worshiping today is a distorted version of what originally was there.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
Keep reading.
Sure.
Read all this because we want to learn about the water stuff. So you're going to read all the water stuff.
Okay. So in creation myths, the primordial waters are often represented as having filled the entire universe and are the first source of the gods. The act of creation is the embellishment or establishment of an inhabitable space separate.
No, you're probably accurate in embellishment. Yeah. Corey's like, Freudian slip there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Separate from the enveloping waters. The cosmic ocean is the shape of the universe before creation. The ocean is boundless, unordered, unorganized, amorphous, formless, dangerous, and terrible. In some myths, its cacophony is opposed to the ordered rhythm of the sea. Chaos can be personified as water or by the unorganized interaction of water and fire. The transformation of chaos into order is also the transition from water into land. In many ancient cosmogonic myths, the ocean and chaos are equivalent and inseparable. The ocean remains outside space even after the emergence of the land. At the same time, the ability of the ocean to generate is realized in the appearance of the earth from it, and the presence of a mythological creature in the ocean that promotes generation or, on the contrary, zealously defends the old order and prevents the beginning of the chain of births from the ocean. Common primordial waters themes.
Oh yeah, you know why? Because they're all really similar.
Right.
Because as Corey now knows that Damien's favorite thing to say is all religions are cultural products and they moved in cultural migrations.
Yep.
That's my main thesis, right?
Right. Yeah, for sure.
All this just proves that.
In a sense, it's kind of been a common theme throughout our videos for over the 3+ years that we've been doing this. So.
Yes, it is. True. If anyone's been watching the videos, they already know that I think this. Right. They probably think this after watching all the videos.
Right. Yeah. If they've watched all of them, then they probably are on board.
Like, what is your opinion so far of what?
I find it hard to deny that they are related in some way.
Especially how well I show they're related, right?
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, I think I've said this before, is that when you combine like the way that different cultures believe similar things, and you show the way that people moved and the way that like objects and animals moved, and like it just pretty much shows that like, yeah, ideas went when people went, and when people traded, they traded ideas, and like lots of these things happened, and
like now,
all related. Yeah, like now. Like the way people are now.
Yeah, like even Vikings became Christians, and even Vikings became Muslims because they interacted with people of those faiths, and that's always what happened. Cultural can move past people. That's why I think it's wrong when it's like the Aryans or whatever. I'm talking about the thinking, the racists. I told you we're going to deal with that Robert Seffer fucking jerk off, who calls himself an anthropologist at expertise or par excellence or some non. First off, the shit you say is absolute. I don't know. Let's start off that you have a channel that's called Atlantis Gardens. What more do we need to say? Your anthropology credit just went into the toilet.
Yeah.
And then you try to say racist shit like, white people really ruled the earth and all this other absolute fucking horse shit. And white people were always the leaders of the whole world.
Like just explicitly false things that are.
Well, and that's what I say too. If you've watched my shows, that Corey already knows this for a fact. That's not true.
Yeah.
No, it's not true. Absolutely confirmably by DNA that's not true.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so I don't. But yeah, I don't really. I want to do like what I'm doing. Teaching you so that you can debunk it yourself. I can make 1 million debunkers instead of me having to debunk him in a sense.
Right. Yeah.
But we are going to debunk him too.
Teaching the facts is the main way to do this stuff. And
right. Yeah. Because I do you really believe someone can try to tell you that all religions are special and separate and no one ever moved around?
Nah.
Right? I've convinced you enough with enough evidence that's absolutely fucking horseshit.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's a flawed belief that needs to be removed.
Yeah, that's right.
So, go ahead and keep reading. But I appreciate it, Corey. I think that you're a great candidate because you come not knowing all the stuff that I said, and like you said, being skeptical, and yet I've convinced you with evidence because that's the best way to convince people. That's how I'm generally most convinced.
Yeah, that's right.
Even I'll even be welcome to be wrong about something if we can be convinced with evidence or valid reason. Because people have sometimes I've said something and then people will say, because sometimes even though I have a really high intellect or whatever, can think well, reason, I'm not perfect either. I mean, or sometimes I'm giving the best estimate from my perspective.
Right.
But my perspective could be different. Like when I walk around, people are terrified because of how I look and just how what's weird is some people don't do that. And then I also think those people must be really weird too. But most people can just feel that I'm a sociopath or whatever. They feel something just aggressive and different. Just how I just look at people and I just zero fear. And that makes them feel fear. Anyways, that's not my point. But what I'm trying to say is, if I am that, which is me, right? I've had experiences which other people may not have had because they're not me. Right. Where I was in Michael's and walking towards the door, and the woman in front of me saw me walking towards her, panicked, and then ran toward this door and tried it, and it was locked. Then she really panicked, ran to the front, and looked back at me, and then almost smashed through the doors, and just started hauling ass. And you know what I did, Corey? I just stopped.
Right. Yeah.
I just stopped and I just waited.
I'm
right.
Yeah.
and because of being a rationalist, my first reaction would be to be angry. Like, hey, what the fuck? Yeah. I didn't even do anything. I'm literally just walking the same out the door as you. My car's outside, like where yours is at.
Yeah.
But I realize I'm not in this world alone.
Yeah.
And so I have to take her perspective. Here's this big, scary guy coming after me.
Right. Wherever she got that idea, it is her perspective, right?
Right. So I'm just showing how perspective could be different. I had in fact, I didn't even pay attention to her. I was looking for my car.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I had the same thing happen to me before where I was walking to the mailbox because I lived in an apartment and we had to walk like, I don't know, couple blocks, whatever, to get to the freaking mailbox because it was like humongous, like in I think it was California. I can't remember. No, Washington. No, Oregon. It was Oregon. in Oregon. I'm trying to remember now because I've lived so many places.
Right.
But so in Oregon, but I was walking to the mailbox, and there was a woman in front of me, but not like maybe 150 feet or something from me, and I'm just walking, and then she starts walking faster, and she's looking back, and so I just kept the same pace I was because I'm like, well, I don't know, it's her problem, but whatever. But then she kept looking back, and she kept running fast, and then she just ran.
Right. So she perceives a threat.
And so, you know what I did again, Corey? I stopped.
Yeah.
And I just waited for her to get her mail. And then she, still panicking. And then I went and got my mail and went home. But I'm just saying is that my perspective was not, of course, to do that. I wasn't going to hurt her. I'm just like going out to my car. I'm also going out to the thing. So I'm just saying about perspective. And that's the other thing, too. Like, if people think they understand this mythology we're explaining, they may not grasp it through my perspective, which I'm trying to share with you.
Yeah.
So you start to see that, this isn't really a bunch of different mythology. This is really versions of the same mythology.
Yeah, for sure. It's a person can have an interest in various mythologies, but they might not draw these same conclusions because they like Greek mythology, or they like Roman mythology, or they like ancient Egyptian mythology, and that's just what they like. They just think it's cool or whatever.
Right. But I'm studying it to dissect it. I'm not just studying it to like it or hate it. I'm just dissecting what exactly these things are doing. When are they doing it? Why are they doing it? And then naturally, just if you're looking at all that, you start to go, wait a minute. I've heard this exact story before.
Right.
What the hell?
And now that I think about it, I think a lot of people who might have played Dungeons and Dragons when they were younger or had interest in role-playing games might have an interest in various mythologies without necessarily drawing connections between them. Because even though they all have a sun god, or they all have a ocean god, or they all have this thing or that thing, they might still not be drawing explicitly those connections. They might just think, oh, well, of course they all have a sun god. The sun exists. So
And so I'm trying to show you, though, that that's not the only thing they share. They share a lot of deep connections. Not one random connection.
Right. Yeah. It's not just because the sun exists or lightning exists. It's because they all come from these same kind of roots.
Yes. And so, and it's beyond, by the way, it's beyond the Aryans, and it's beyond Indo-European, because it's also with Sumerians and the Asians and Native Americans and the Siberians, and
for sure.
So so it's wrong to think like, well, Nordic, our religion, but you're part of the same shit. Yours is not different.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, okay, it's a different version of the same thing. How's that?
Right, or it's a descendant in a sense, right?
Descendant, correctly.
Yeah.
Descendant, yeah. So, but to say that it's not practically the same thing, wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, so I feel like the bigotry, certainly, if you really understand this, I feel it should remove bigotry. These religions should not be feeling this way. But, of course, they also have to see it what it really is mythology.
Right, yeah.
All of it.
Yeah. Once you see it all as mythology, including your own religion, that's when you will stop feeling like yours is superior, right?
Well, yeah, but even if somehow we're wrong, right, and the religion is true, well, then you guys all are the same, right? You get this, right?
Right.
So then, and you say we have to follow tradition, and and God spoke when He first. Well, then God spoke a long time ago, and it was a bunch of them.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm just saying, and also you don't have moralistic gods, because moralistic gods came later.
Right.
They came after 5,000. So male gods from 8,000 to 7,000, female gods, I think it's like 11,000 to 10,000, sometime in there. They come about, but there already was animal deities, I think, by 13,000 at least, maybe earlier, maybe 15 to 13. I'm not totally sure, but I think animals first. And I think even females were also like the animals, not saying the same, but I mean, how they saw them is what's called a Tulier deity.
Right.
And it's tularity deity or something. And it's a type of spirit or deity, which generally just means God or super spirit or great spirit. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, but anyways, so this deity is like a protector, though. And so I think that everything in a sense comes sort of out of that. And Tulare is also like I told you before, it can be like an angel, your own personal angel, right? Everyone has a guardian angel or whatever. That would be your Tulare deity, one that cares just about you.
Right. Yeah, I think I'm 90% sure we've mentioned this before.
Right? Yeah. Right. Well, because it's, once again, I keep explaining because all of this sort of relates, so you can't like totally remove it, because I feel like you're not getting that. I'm dissecting it to see a piece, but this is all related.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
So, but I wanted to, like we're doing, explain this stuff because when I first say we're going to do water mythology, you probably don't think it has to do with anything that you care about. But then you realize actually it has to do with all religions in the world. You're like, oh, fuck.
Right. Like it's, rather than just being about like water, ponds or whatever. It's like the fundamental basis of most of the religions of the
world.
You
go. Right. Exactly. So it's like super important.
To
understand. So that's why we're going to read more of it, because it's super important to understand this. Because like I said, just you got to keep remembering you're now learning all myths.
Right. Yeah. We're going from the ground up now.
Yeah.
or from the water up.
Yeah, there you go. Corey's got it. See, Corey, I knew that you'd get it, right? I mean, but I know that you've had more chance, obviously, than some people. You've had more video time with me.
Yeah, that's right. There's many videos that so a lot of this stuff is now in my head.
Right, but the good thing is, though, it's in your head about something that's accurate, that you've actually learned something, not just like the pseudo people or the people talk about myths, but not helping you learn anything.
Right.
When they go, oh, myths can teach you something, like, yeah, they teach me something. They teach me religion is full of shit. Or religion is cultural product. That's what it teaches me over and over again. I'm like, wow, religion is a cultural product.
For sure.
Damien, do you believe God's real? Absolutely not. They're a cultural product. There's zero reason to believe them. No.
Yeah.
No, it's a bunch of stories. Yeah. Lords of the Rings is fun. I don't want you to force me to live that way.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a good story. I enjoy it, but
yeah. So that's also why because I know that people aren't going to treat it accurately, the correct ontology, and call it a cultural product. They want to keep doing it as a cultural thing. More power to them. That's why people don't get when I say, I'm not trying to take away your culture. Just quit calling it reality. Or how about this? Quit demanding I call it reality. You can call it a fucking thing you want.
Yeah, that's right. Like you're allowed to be wrong.
Right. Yeah, I support your right to not know the facts.
But just don't make me be wrong too. Thanks.
But on our channel, instead of debunking, like some people read the Bible, debunk the Bible, like, Damien, why don't you spend more time with the Bible? I'm like, if you really got what I'm doing, you would see I'm debunking all religion.
Right.
Yeah. You would see that it's so much more a grand task than what these other atheists think that they're doing.
Right. Yeah. It's actually addressing the reasons that people believe in a sense, rather than being like, here's this one thing's wrong about Christianity. Here's another thing that's wrong about Christianity.
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. And all they have to do is, well, I don't interpret it that way, or that's not how I think, or that's not how my God is, or whatever.
Right.
But I'm explaining, oh, yeah, your God. Okay, your God's part of this thing, and it has to do with the sun, and it has to do with this and that, and the water, of course, then,
it came from this. Like, this is really where it came from.
Exactly. Well, it says the spirit in the Bible. It says before the creation, it says the Spirit of the Lord, floated across the ocean of the deep or something like that.
Right.
I mean, which is talking about the similar stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And then out of it comes dry land. Oh yeah, the Mount of Creation. But see, when the Mount of Creation happens, everything wasn't over, right? It's only day 2 or whatever, or 3. Or, you know what I'm saying is, it's literally, so it's the Bible too. That's what I'm saying. I am debunking the Bible. We're not debunking it all.
Yeah, that's right.
Just we're doing like all of them, and you're like doing the Bible. Good for you. Sure. I'm debunking everything.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So,
all right. Should I read the common primordial waters themes?
Yes, I want you to keep reading that, and then there's some like break stuff. Read that, and then there's the primordial waters of Sumeria mythology. Read that. Primordial waters of Egyptian mythology. Read that. I mean, I'm probably going to stop you and make comments.
Sure.
Because I can't almost help myself, but
and
then Greek mythology, and then Indian mythology, because remember it's all the same. But and then there's also the primordial waters in Iran, and then of course the Bible, primordial waters. Got to read that too. So yeah, there's a bunch to read. So
we got a lot of reading to go. So
yeah, but we still got a lot of time. We've only done 1 hour. I know
that's true.
It probably feels like 3 hours, Corey, because I know this. This is not like the fun subject. Corey gets to learn about shit that's fake.
Yeah. Well, I don't mind this actually. I am one of those weirdos who just likes mythology in a way.
Right.
But
do you like it now in a different way after seeing how I see it?
I think I connect it better. Like I still like it just because it's kind of cool.
Oh yeah,
but,
I wasn't.
Yeah, but like I definitely understand it a lot more in real terms rather than just like reading the myths and being like, okay, so this is what these people believed, and that's that.
Right. Not instead of just randomly think, oh, they're believing weird things. All these people.
Yeah.
You're learning that. Well, wait a minute. All this is really the same thing.
It really came from somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. You probably are connected to this shit somehow.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So U.E. Berezkine and E.N. Duvakin generalized the motif of primary waters as follows. Waters are primary. The earth is launched into the water, appears above the water, grows from a piece of solid substance placed on the surface of the water, or liquid mud, from an island in the ocean, is exposed when the water subsided, etc. The idea of the primacy of the ocean as an element from the bowels of which the earth rises or is created is universally prevalent. The representation is present in many mythologies of the world. In North Asia and North America, the earth diver myth is found. In this myth, a creator god dives into the cosmic ocean to bring up and form the earth. A diving bird catching a lump of earth from the primordial ocean often appears in mythologies of the indigenous peoples of the Americas and Samoyedic peoples. In totemic myths, bird people are often presented as fratrial ancestors. World eggs are
Pause for a second. And so remember, I told you before, totemism has to do with ancestry.
Right.
Because like clan really is DNA. They don't know this or whatever, but that's in a sense what they're doing. They're limiting DNA.
Right.
Like their male line or whatever, that they're limiting, and you can tell. But it has to do the reason that's done is totemism. In a sense, that most of the time, maybe there's some that could have been not, but most of it has to do with clans because most of the world was done. So that's kind of like a spiritual thing related to people, but it's not like religion in a sense. Sort of, it's like an aspect of religion. Like when you say that you can't eat that because it's like in the Bible it says you can't eat shellfish or something. Or you can't eat clove-foot animals that chew the cud or some bullshit. Anyways, or maybe it's single-hoofed or something, or not clove-foot or what. But anyways, my point is all that kind of nonsense is really totemism. Because totemism has all these rules, what you can and cannot do. That's what I was telling you before. Shamanism doesn't do that. Right. One time shamanism will say don't do things. It would say because some spirit is attacking you, that's why you're sick. Don't do this. You know what I'm saying?
They're not like universal rules based on.
No. That's why I said it's more like anarchism, and totemism becomes like state. And I think actually it motivates the state, because clans, the early state, like I've showed you before, really, or even totemism, clans turns into like a structure that's hierarchical, and then it becomes like a king structure with multi clans, and then multi things, and they have things, and they have things.
Right.
It's like, which just people then later call feudalism.
Right.
But in a sense, so, and then that also clans, the first states and even kings, like those kings they would just move the clan to be like the heads, to be like the aristocrats or whatever, Dutch dukes and whatever,
Right.
Similar.
Yeah. They're all connected clans based on the hierarchy.
Correct. And with this, because it's always the family.
Yeah.
Right. Like the Habsburgs or whatever. Once again, when you understand that, you understand, well, they're limiting to just their thing, which is a totemistic thinking.
Right.
Not a shamanistic thinking. Shamanism be like, yeah, we should all fucking or whatever. Get different colors or different people or DNAs. They'd be like, that sounds interesting. You know what I mean? I'm just making a comment. Yeah. The thinking is, that's why I feel like because if you understand, totemism is trying to be rigid. It's saying it's because it's trying to be like clan control.
Yeah.
Or whatever, which also has to do with hierarchy too. Because there's the clan thing, and they're all like hierarchy. More. There's no such thing like in shamanism for hierarchy. Shamanism, like I said, it's very individualistic almost, even though sometimes there's groups that do similar things. Even then, they'll be different. And everybody paints their own drum, like in the Sami, before they were, outlawed, by the law. They would paint their own drum and their own thing, or it was almost like their own spirit journey, whatever. So you get what I'm saying? It's an individual thing in a sense, or whatever. Right. It's not this group force. That's totemism.
Right.
Totemism is more the group force, which can have good things too. Because to me, I told you when totemism first starts, it's almost, I think when it starts, it's almost the same time there's a huge drop in incest. I think putting the fucking law down.
Right. Somebody made a rule based on their spiritual or religious belief at the time, their totemistic belief.
Yes. Right. And so I'm just saying, you can see it again here. It doesn't like change. That's why, like, they say the Israel or Jewish religion, whatever, they think that they're like above, say, totemists, but they actually have tons of laws about what food they can eat. That literally is totemism. They only care about their little clan, the Israelites, right? Not the Palestinians or any other ones that have, or the people in Lebanon, which are closer to them genetically, or the Kurds, who are also close to them genetically. No, they don't. They only care about their clan.
Yeah.
Which to me, like I said, it's very totemistic. So that's why when they think they're not, I'm like, you're extremely totemistic.
For sure.
But see, some people would see that be used as a negative, but totemism also has positive things. Like it tells you, in a sense, you should take care of the environment, which that's like what I've been told before. Someone said to me that, the Jewish religion has a thing about caring for the environment. And I said, yeah, other totemism does too.
Right. Yeah.
Jewish totemism is not somehow different from the rest of totemism. All of you care about caring about the environment. I know you're all totemists. You're clan based. I get it.
Right. Yeah. It's like it doesn't necessarily have to have a positive or negative connotation. It's
right. So that's what I'm trying to show too. Is I'm like other atheists. They'll just say, "Oh, well, it's bad. It's terrible." Yeah, it's got some bad and terrible things, but I think it's absolutely to be false to say that every single thing about it is terrible. Yeah. I think the fact that it's a huge stop of incest is a fucking great thing.
Yeah, that's a pretty good
rule. Fabulous, in fact.
Yeah, that's right. Let's keep that rule.
Right. So the biggest reason, just so you understand, in my anarchism, if they were an adult and they choose to do incest as an adult on adult and without coercion, fine. People can, I feel as adults, can do what they want. But I'm generally talking about, that's not what happened. An adult fucked a child that was theirs, and they had a child or whatever. And so, that's the norm of what people are so disgusted, I feel, by incest is it's pedophile, or it's sexual molestation or whatever of a child. That's what we're fucking hating the most. I mean, some people may hate the whole thing, but I'm just making a comment that what is justified the hate is the fucking hurt of the child.
Right.
Which we know has systemic value.
Yep.
So this has the most value. So fuck, you're hurting the thing with the most value.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I'm just making a comment that these myths are similar. People need to get that. So let's keep reading.
Sure. World eggs are a common theme in creation myths. A waterfowl extracts silt from the waters, from which land is gradually created. In Polynesian mythology, Maui fishes islands out of the ocean. In Scandinavian mythology, the gods raise the earth, and Thor catches the serpent of Middle-earth, which lives at the bottom of the ocean. In ancient Egyptian mythology, the earth itself comes to the surface in the form of a mound. In the Brahmana, it is said that the Prajapati took the earth out of the water, taking the form of a boar. In the mythologies of many Asian countries, in which there is an image of an endless and eternal primordial ocean or sea, there is a motif of the creation of the earth by a celestial being descending from the sky and interfering with the water of the ocean with an iron club, spear, or other object. This results in condensation, which gives rise to the earth. In Japanese mythology, the islands of Japan arose from foam raised by the mixing of the waters of the ocean with the spears of the gods, Izanagi and Izanami. In the mythologies of the Mongolic peoples, the role of the compactor of the ocean waters is played by the wind, which creates a milky substance out of them, which then becomes the earth's firmament. According to the Kalmyks, plants, animals, and people and gods were born from this milky liquid. Indian mythology has a similar myth about the churning of the ocean milk. Myths about the ocean.
So just to what do you think so far? I mean, because I've read all this stuff, so I mean, I want to hear your input. What learning this now? How do you feel, or what do you think, or does it?
Well, I mean, I think it's neat, like the way, especially I didn't realize like all the milky stuff that everybody was talking about. I didn't know that was a thing, right? Like they've got all of the different belief systems all have that same kind of milk made from the water.
You're starting to get this, huh, Corey?
Yeah, it's kind of neat.
But do you also see, like I said, there's too many things.
Right. Yeah.
When you're like on the 35th, 6th, 7th year, I mean, at what point do you just go, I think they're related?
Right. Like if you were to make a chart and you're like, these are all the beliefs and these are all the beliefs, the religions that believe in those things. And you're like, check.
Right. And certainly way more than people think. Because people,
sure.
Or they try to tell me, oh, Damien, you can't there's different religions. They always tell me that bullshit. Oh, you can't say they're all connected because there's different ones in different places that never met each other. And I'm like, I need to make more videos, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. What do you mean by they never met each other? Like, that's what
like, that's not really what I said. Yeah, I don't believe in ancient aliens either. Yeah, the people traveled and they brought mythology with them.
Yeah. They didn't have to like go and learn from somebody else.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I told you too, that my explanation of the mounds and stuff is this, or the pyramids is this.
Right.
This stuff that you're learning. It's because people have the similar religion. That's why.
Yeah.
And it calls for similar thinking and similar beliefs and behaviors. And if you try to recreate it, then you literally are making mounds or poles or something.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, keep reading.
All right. Myths about the world's oceans are universally accompanied by myths about its containment when the earth was already created, and myths about the attempts of the ocean to regain its undivided dominance. In Chinese mythology, there is an idea of a giant depression or pit that determines the direction of the ocean waters and takes away excess water. In many mythologies, there are numerous narratives regarding the flood. The opposition of two types of myths is known, for example, in Oceania, about the earth sinking in the ocean and about the retreat of the ocean or sea. An example of the first type is the legend about the origin of Easter Island, recorded on this island. In the creation of myth of the Nasan people, at first the earth was completely covered with water. Then the water subsided and exposed the top of the Shaitan Ridge Koika Mao. The first two people fall to this peak, a man and a woman. In the myth of the creation of the Tuamotus, the creator Tain, spilling water, created the world in the waters of the Lord of the Waters, Pune, and invoked the light that initiated the creation of the earth. The motif of the cosmogonic struggle with the dragon or serpent is widespread in terms of suppressing water and chaos. The serpent in most mythologies is associated with water, often as its abductor. He threatens either with a flood or a drought that is a violation of the measure, the water balance. Since the cosmos is identified with order and measure, chaos is associated with the violation of measure. Ra Atum fights the serpent Apep in ancient Egyptian religion. Indra with Vritra, the serpent in the historic Vedic religion. Enlil or Marduk defeats the progenitor Tiamat, the wife of Apsu, the personification of dark waters in chaos, of chaos, who has taken the form of a dragon. Enki, Ninurta, or Inanna contest the owner of the underworld, Kur, in the Mesopotamian religion. Tish, Tria, or Sirius, with the anti-god Apeosha in the ancient Iranian religion. The Bible describes the struggle of Yahweh with dragons and sea monsters that represent chaos, Rahab, Tihom, and Leviathan. Yu the Great's heroic struggle with the cosmic flood ends with the murder of the insidious owner of the water, Gungun, and his close associate, the nine-headed Zhang Liu in Chinese mythology.
Right. So once again, right, Corey, nothing is connected.
It's just another line of checks, right?
Corey's like, man, Damien's gonna have me not believe religion.
Yeah, that's right. I was a pretty firm believer before, but now I'm definitely not. Yeah,
but I am making you a firm believer that this is a cultural product that moved in cultural migrations, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
They go, no one knows about religion. Like, no, actually, you've never watched one of Damien's videos or read the blog.
Read the blog. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely like, for sure. Like, so in the chart of beliefs, now we have what is this one? The battle between the god and the serpent.
Correct.
Or the anti-god or the...
Yes, there you go. Right? Yeah. Okay.
So that's the check for all of these religions.
Correct. Which is making you realize that they're totally separate.
Yeah, that's right.
Corey's like, I don't think that's how that works.
Yeah, no. Once you get a certain number of checks that they all share, like you really like...
Right? Doesn't it feel weird? Like all of a sudden you've like seen the light now?
Yeah, they Matrix. Really... It's now like I say, obviously I've been doing this with you for a little while, but at this point it is now weird to think of them as separate rather than connected.
Exactly. Exactly. And also the great thing for you now, it's not that you believe Damien, you understand this for yourself. And if you forgot, you could go to the blog and you could read it again and go, oh yeah, that's right.
Right. Yeah. Here's the series of things that are the same among these different religions. And,
right.
Yeah.
Keep telling me that they're all special and different.
For sure. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. That'll convince me.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's also why people get mad too, because I'll say that paganism started and they'll go, oh, no. I'm like, this is all paganism.
Right.
All this. From the Native Americans to me, to the Sumerians, to the Europeans, the Africans. This is all, if it has gods, it's paganism. Because guess what? It probably has a whole bunch of stories about floods and water and mounds and eggs and birds and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fighting dragons. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Fighting dragons. Yeah. What do you call that? If not paganism.
Yeah. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Is, well, how can you say it's not when they all have it? Everything that has paganism has it. So you saying what, the Bible somehow is separate?
Right.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like 5% we're all pagan, but mine
is special and different.
Maybe this other one we're not. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we have all the same myths. But don't even think for a second that they're the same. Like,
no,
get
that's right.
the fuck out of here. That dumb bullshit.
Yeah.
That's why when people tell us like do more of the Bible, the Bible's a joke. You need to see it's a joke. It's not any different than these other jokes. Do you study all these other religions? No.
Right. Yeah. Like, am I spending all my time learning the Bhagavad Gita? Like,
yeah.
No, I'm not. So,
or even Turkish mythology. Why aren't you learning that, Corey? All of it. Someone asked me when I posted this thing about water. They said, Damien, you didn't bring up Turkish. Well, Mogolic was mentioned. I mean, the Turkic and Mongolic peoples have the same religion. So, okay. And so, yeah.
That counts then.
Right? Yeah. You do know that, right? Yeah, it's similar. I should have just said that, right? Turkic/Mongolic.
Sure.
Yeah. But anyways, but my point is, so you would have to do that, because why are you singling out the other ones? Just because they're the biggest? Well, then you have 10 world religions you should be doing, like the top 10, right? You should learn all of them.
Yeah.
But once again, I'm showing you, but we don't need it. Why are we fighting on their level? Why are we answering like they have the truth? I would rather go, here's an explanation of why you do not have the truth.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Someone asked me, where's your philosophic refutation of the whatever? And I said, yeah, I do a whole different thing that makes that shit unnecessary.
Yeah, no, that's right. Like, why do I have to spend time like trying to debunk the logic of the existence of the Christian God?
Right.
When I can go through and be like, okay, but here's where religion came from. Like,
including your Christian God.
Including, yeah.
Because he's another,
like,
he literally is a sky god, and he comes from El, who was the Canaanite sky god, who comes from the Amorites, who actually come from the Kurgal axe culture, which came from the Cossack Mountains, or Southern Cossack Mountains, and southeast Turkey, in a sense, which Yiddish comes from the same area. What's that?
Which you can show,
right?
Because they have the same origins, or you can see exactly where it started and where it came from.
Exactly. And then it's also so Jewish or Hebrew, whatever, is a part of Semitic languages that started before them.
Right.
So Semitic languages are like 6,000 years old, and the Hebrew is probably closer to 4,000, 3,500 or something.
Right.
So, no, it's not special. It's just a branch of all this stuff. And all the Semitic ones had this sky gods that we're talking about, right? And Mount of Creation, all this stuff. And fighting serpents. That's why your stuff fights serpents too. That's why you have the tree of life. That's
like why you call Satan the serpent, right? Like that's
exactly why. Why you have a tree and a serpent, right? And fruit and some special land.
Yeah.
And water, right? Because it talks about Eden, where these 3 rivers or something go into Eden or something.
Right. Yeah, like what is Eden if not the center of the world?
Correct, right, where all the water goes, right?
Yeah.
I'm just making a comment that yeah, when you start understanding this, you start going, no,
Yeah.
you're wrong. All this shit is the same. Let me hear your refutation how it's not.
Yeah, that's right. Remember, you have to include all of the cultural data that goes
we do
along with
know.
what that we know. Yeah, you have to work with that. Like,
yeah, because when you put that all together, it makes your shit look not special.
Yeah, that's right.
So, anyways, but yeah, I think that's why I said understanding this is so important, Corey, because this is like a death nail in the religion to me.
For sure. Yeah. So I guess to continue.
Yeah.
The Genesis creation narrative has a much reduced description of Yahweh and Tehom. The transition from the formless water element to land is the most important act necessary for the transformation of chaos into space. The next step in the same direction is the separation of the sky from the earth, which, perhaps essentially, coincides with the first act, given the initial identification of the sky with the oceans. But it was precisely the repetition of the act, first down and then up, that led to the allocation of three spheres: earthly, heavenly, and underground, which represents the transition from binary division to trinity. The middle sphere, the earth, opposes the watery world below and the heavenly world above. A trichotomous scheme of the cosmos arises, including the necessary space between earth and sky. This space is often represented as a cosmic tree. Earth and sky are almost universally represented as feminine and masculine, a married couple standing at the beginning of a theogonic or theocosmogonic process. At the same time, the feminine principle is sometimes associated with the element of water and chaos. Usually it is conceived on the side of nature rather than culture. Mythical creatures personifying chaos, defeated, shackled, and overthrown, often continue to exist on the outskirts of space, along the shores of the oceans, in the underground lower world, in some special parts of the sky. In Scandinavian mythology, the Jotnar, primordial giants, precede time and are located on the outskirts of the Earth's circle in cold places near oceans. Primordial waters and Sumerian mythology. In Sumerian mythology, there was an image of the original sea abyss, Abzu, on the site of which the most active of the gods, Enki, representing the earth, fresh water, and agriculture on irrigated lands, made his home. In the beginning, the entire space of the world was filled with an ocean that had neither beginning nor end. It was probably believed that he was eternal. In its bowels lurked the foremother, Namu. In her womb arose a cosmic mountain in the form of a hemisphere, which later became the Earth. An arc of shiny tin encircling the hemisphere vertically later became the sky. In the Babylonian version, in the endless primordial ocean, there was nothing but two monsters, forefather Apsu and foremother Tiamat. Primordial waters and ancient Egyptian mythology. In ancient Egyptian mythology, in the beginning, the universe only consisted of a great chaotic cosmic ocean, and the ocean itself was referred to as Nu. In some versions of this myth, at the beginning of time, Mehet Weret, portrayed as a cow with a sun disk between her horns, gives birth to the sun, said to have risen from the waters of creation and to have given birth to the sun god Ra in some myths. The universe was enwrapped by a vast mass of primordial waters, and the Benben, a pyramid mound, emerged from amid this primal chaos. There was a lotus flower with Benben, and this when it blossomed emerged Ra. There were many versions of this sun's emergence, and it was said to have emerged directly from the mound or from a lotus flower that grew to the mound, in the form of a heron, falcon, scarab beetle, or human child. In Heliopolis, the creation was attributed to Atum, a deity closely associated with Ra, who was said to have existed in the waters of Nu as an inert potential being. Some strands of Egyptian cosmology appear to have also had the idea of a river ocean encircling the earth, as one of the words used for sea, shen wer, means great and circular. The concept of chaos is etymologically associated with darkness, kek, but primarily chaos in the form of the primary ocean, nu, or in the Germanic version, 5 divine pairs representing its different aspects. The primary hill is identified with the sun god Ra. Water chaos is opposed to the first earthly mound protruding from it, with which Atum is associated in Heliopolis as Ra Atum, and in Memphis Ptah. Initially, the existing ocean is personified in the image of the father of the gods, Nu. In this historical era, the ocean, which was placed underground, gave rise to the river Nile. In the Heracleopolis version of the myth, an internal connection between the ocean and chaos is noted.
Right, and so what are you hearing any differences, or are you starting to?
I mean, yeah, the differences seem almost superficial.
Right.
Like the names are different, but the story's the same.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So you start to realize that this literally is not an accident. What I think is so interesting is why don't those, like Graham Hancock talk about that, like the real shit. The real shit's amazing. All the religions of the world are false, and here's how we know that, or at least our cultural products, like Damien calls it. So once you realize that, you're like, yeah, they're just this shared cultural stories. I mean, it also to me is kind of interesting because once I'd learned this, it changed how I saw stuff as an atheist.
Right.
Because I started, and I also started to change how I felt. If people really understood this, even if they still wanted to believe this, they have to believe that their bigotry is wrong, since they all pretty much have the similar religion.
Yeah, eh?
I mean, you would think. So
you would think.
I think it's positive either way. Tim, I think it should make you realize this is not true. This is just a bunch of stories. Interesting. If people want to keep this culture, fine. But this is not reality.
Yeah, it's like cultural practices, but
right, cultural practices. So, but even if people want to consider it to be true, then the information, you got to accept the reality of information offered, which means all religions are just parts of one religion.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that literally, it has to be the truth. Yeah. It only have to, with a binary choice. It's only one or the other of those.
Yeah, either none of it's true or it's all related to the same main truth.
Correct. So my point is, so I see it as positive either way, because either I help people become atheists or they become some sort of a generalized theist or whatever, or religionist, because they can no longer justify just theirs is the truth.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I think that in general makes us more communal and want to work together, because you stop seeing yourself. Remember, like I told you in the morality one, and then you astutely figured out the categories I was talking about, where you said that I put everybody in the category of like me,
right,
which generally is considered family and friends. And that's also why I say and I many times is I want to be a friend to the world. And that's like you had figured out that I put everybody in that category. I try to care on that level that I do not see a difference.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And that's like you say, like that's the same thing we're doing here. Like there is no difference between Christians, Muslims,
correct,
Jewish people,
or
Hindus,
Native American beliefs, or
Native
Asian
American
beliefs, or Nordic, or any of it.
Yeah, these are all
Polynesian
the
beliefs,
same,
all
right?
of these.
Yeah.
Because just think of the bigotry, even if it was not atheist, just religious to each other, especially Christians' history, but Islam too. But to just hate all these other different versions.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that, like, once you know this,
right,
then it's like, it seems like really silly to hate somebody whose belief systems are so similar to your own.
So similar. You just changed the names maybe in the places, but that's not much else. But yeah, like I told you, that's the goal. And you know, my book is that I'm now working on again, because I had stuff, but I'm gonna have to take out almost like 80% of the book and I guess make it for blogs or something, because I'm not allowed to use that many references. I'm still finding it hard to not use references. It's like pissing me off.
Yeah, that's weird.
Because I want to say
how do you do it without the references? Because that's where the information comes from.
Because I'm just going to say my opinion, but I can talk off the top of my head pretty good.
Yeah, that's true.
Because Corey goes, unlike some people who think they know religion, I actually do.
Yeah.
But but anyways, my point is I was going to do a really archaeology heavy and prove all facts, more like my blogs or even beyond that. But I'm going to take all that out because they said that I have to be 60% has to be in my own words at least, or they won't even do it. Mm-hmm. And then I have to, if I have all these references, I have to have permission. It's fucking bullcrap.
Permission, really?
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, because they don't want to get fucking sued. So they protect themselves, you know, capitalists. They protect themselves, and so I can't fucking write. It's fucking goddamn bullshit.
Yeah, that strikes me as weird because like especially like using it as a reference, like you could say such and such said a thing and like put a footnote and be like, here's the reference, and like I don't understand. I didn't know you would get sued over that. That seems weird.
Well, all I know is that I was told I can't do it. So that's why because I was going to do this book like 6 years ago or something, a long time ago, maybe longer than that. Maybe it's 10 years. I fucking don't know. A long time ago. Because I've understood this, as you see, I understand it. I've understood this for a long time. Right. I didn't have videos and blogs for every single thing I understood because I read stuff and wasn't like when I was reading it, I was trying to understand. I wasn't trying to fucking write blogs. Yeah. But then later I'm like, I really should make a blog on that.
Yeah.
And then a video because I also, and you know, like me, I want to empower you so that you can be free, that you can, you know, remove yourself from having to be feeling guilty. Or imagine if someone feels bad for being gay because some sky god said something. You know what I'm saying? You realize, who gives a fuck? Well, I'm worried about health. Yeah, that's some bullshit too.
Yeah, that's right.
Just more stories. Yeah. So the underworld of this fantasy, oceans and snakes and dragons, that's where your hell comes from. Do you really think I need to explain to you? They haven't.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. They're all stories.
Yeah, that's right.
So, because I told you, because I care. That's why instead of like wasting my time, like I said, going to debate people, I wanted to educate so I can get to more people and really and let them be empowered.
Yeah.
So, and like I told you too, the good thing is I don't even go, okay, well, that's so what? Then nothing else. I also go, yeah, and also don't be a capitalist.
Yeah, that's right.
Because for like me, once you realize all this is false, even the morality that they offered you is false.
Yeah.
You need to create your own thing. So that's why I started wanting to figure out, okay, well, what should I do? And what, you know, which led me to, like I told you, to axiology and to choosing different ways of doing morality or whatever.
Yeah.
And because like I said, once you see the stuff is fake, then you could choose to keep following golden rule or whatever other things they say, which I don't feel it's a golden rule, because the problem is it says, do unto others as you would do unto you. Morality is a you thing, a moral. Ethics is how you behave. Right. Acting as if those two are the same is not really grasping. That's not how you should. You know what? You should treat other people like this. Like, if I'm strong, right? Which I am. I'm strong. I told you I scared people. Probably not so much now that I'm more crippled and can barely walk, but still people probably see me and are not,
right.
Not feeling super safe. And so I'm not doing anything though, right? I'm just being myself, and this is happening. But also people are doing it from like, their past experiences of how people say that look like me behave or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah.
So
we have yeah. I was
So
just going to say we have those different perspectives, like we mentioned before.
right. And so if I tell you, you don't need to be afraid, I'm a person that's for kindness, I don't look or sound like someone who would actually believe that.
Right. At least in their experience. Like,
well, that's what I'm trying to correct. But so I feel like it's no different though, Corey. People have been believing religion was a certain thing.
Right.
And now Damien is saying it is not that. It's like when Damien tries to say, I'm a kind person now. I promote kindness. And they're like, no, that can't be true. You could literally bully people. That doesn't mean I do. I could rape people. Doesn't mean I do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But somehow I think the bullying is going to happen more easily or something, or more justifiable, obviously.
Right.
Rape. I don't think we should justify either of those behaviors.
Yeah.
Both are shit. You shouldn't fucking bully people, and you absolutely shouldn't fucking rape them either. Like, both are fucking true. Don't hit them. Don't hurt them. Like, yeah. It's all true.
Yeah, that's right.
But I'm just saying that I get that people are, because they're used to seeing all these religions, like say Hinduism, it's part of their, cultural, totemistic idea. Same with like Judaism, it's not true, but there's people that act as if any part of the country of Israel has to do with Judaism. It literally does not.
Right.
And like I told you anyways, everything, that's in the South was never Judaism's, in any empire that they had.
Yeah.
So to act as if them holding on to every inch, as I've heard people say this before, and I just go, that doesn't even match your Bible. The fuck? Shut up.
Yeah, no kidding.
Anyway. Yeah, because I feel like that just like America, you're like, every inch of land, this is all stolen land. Come, if you give the whole East Coast to them, the whole West Coast was never given. It's just fucking taken.
Still
or
all
supposedly
stolen,
bought. Because like the Louisiana Purchase, because the French somehow lived here, right? They sold native land. So like, well, I bought it. Yeah, that's like saying some dude just robbed my house and you bought my TV, so you bought it, I can't have it back. It is stolen.
Yeah, that's right. No, that's still stolen property that you don't get to keep.
Well, you get what I'm saying? Just because you personally took it doesn't mean that it's not stolen.
Yeah, that's right. And in fact, the police, as much as I disagree with them on most things, they would say that's still stolen property. You don't get to keep it.
Yeah, well, I think that the whole idea of police is wrong because if you ever seen the police, they have a lot of things they say are not their job, right? Like they say, we don't have to do mental health. But that's all they literally do is almost do mental health stuff.
Right.
Like if say a couple is fighting, how's that not a mental health issue?
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm just making a comment. I feel like they're constantly being put in places that are just like, do you think that if there's a hostage that we should just use random cops to try to do hostage negotiation, or should we get a professional? Right. I'm just making a comment. Do you think that it's any different when you have someone fighting or something going on? Do you need a in a sense counselor or someone like that as opposed to someone with a gun and no counseling understanding?
Right. Yeah.
So it goes back to, like I told you, I don't agree with everything. Like I think we should have some safety. So I think that we should definitely have people that employ safety. I just don't think police employ safety.
They don't. Yeah, exactly.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
They fucking don't. They literally are if they're for safety, then they should know a hell of a lot more. They should be full counseling, like a doctorate and have maybe like 10,000 hours of counseling and certainly some social work, probably some group counseling too. Really round them off. Then that sounds more like safety. No. You just give them a gun, tell them how to shoot straight, and then you stick them on the street with the fucking gun.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm not saying they don't get any other training, because I know they get some, but seriously, do you think they can go counsel your kids?
They
Come
can't.
on.
No. They cannot.
No, I'm just making a comment. And they're, anyways, as they say, they're there to not counsel anybody. I'm not saying that some may not want to, because I'm not saying I don't believe that everybody's a bad person in every single way. But it isn't true that they're qualified.
Yeah, that's right.
Not only that, that's not even their job, right? It literally is not their job. No, it doesn't say counsel the people, and if that doesn't work, then shoot them. You know what I'm saying? What it says is you have the right, if you feel afraid, to shoot.
Yeah, that's right.
Fuck, I feel afraid all the time, so I should just fucking shoot. I mean, it's just, and
then they go and they get training that in fact tells them they should always be afraid of every single person that isn't a cop.
Exactly. Or they put they go, don't be, they tell us to not be afraid, right? They literally put their hand on the gun as they're walking up and tell us, don't be afraid. We have no gun. They're like, don't move. And they're like, I mean, or even worse, I've had in California, usually when they stop a car, they pull their gun out.
Right.
Like if it's on the highway, they pull their gun out. They don't like stick it at you. They hold it. But come on. Do you think I not feel a little afraid when someone has their gun literally out and their finger like over the trigger?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they're just making a comment. They always talk about how the cops feel. How the fuck do you think the people feel?
Exactly.
So I really feel that. Like
I care so much more about how the people feel than the cops.
Well, yes, that's what I'm saying is, so just like when they say, well, I don't want to feel afraid. Do you think that we would care to have fire department that said that same comment? I don't want to go save that person because I don't want to feel afraid that that fire might get me too. We would consider that person a fucking loser. Get the fuck out of the fire department.
Yeah, what are you doing as a firefighter then? Yeah.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? How they have the wrong attitude. To me, in the police, the fire department is a way better attitude.
Yeah,
about what their duty is. Their duty is to die for us. I don't hear the cops saying that. They're like, I don't want to have to die. No, motherfucker, that is your job. That is literally your job.
Yeah.
Anyways, if it was a just society, of course. If we don't have that, so the cops just literally kill the. It's like, how many billionaires do the cops kill in an accident?
Probably zero.
Right, you get what I'm saying, or even millionaires or whatever. You don't get what I'm saying is. No, how many times do you see pictures of cops spraying mace in a millionaire's face or a billionaire's face? You know what I'm saying? But they'll do it to the random public for just the fucking fun of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always civilians or like even worse, it's the people who are suffering the most already.
Yeah. But I know we're anarchists, so I'm sure we could sit here and talk about the woes of the police all day.
In fact, we could. Yes.
Because I told you anyways, we should be approaching everything for care and help. So that people like, what do you think of the police? They need to go. I think we should have something different, but I think the whole thing should be like a rescue trauma center, not fucking guys with guns and no trauma experience. Like what? And they're sent into trauma experiences, and then they're killing our own people, and then we're just going, well, I guess that just happens. Well, fuck no. What the fuck? Anyways, prisons too. Like, what the fuck? If recidivism is happening, something is wrong, motherfucker. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, it doesn't even matter what the statistics are. If one guy goes into prison and then comes out and commits a crime again, then that didn't work. The prison didn't do what it was supposed to do.
Well, and I don't feel it actually does, because I feel punishment is the wrong thing. Because it just goes back to what I told you about justice or care, which is the goal, justice or care. See, the whole point is, to me, our supposed facilities, say if I was an anarchist, my facility should be mental health and care. Because care produces better results than justice does. Justice may feel good because it solves a thing, but it doesn't do the level what care does. Just like, think, I was a bad person. Someone cared to try to help me, and then I got better. Fuck, care is amazing.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I mean,
and we can look at like, we can look at like other places that have tried other things, and we can still criticize those, like say Scandinavian countries that have like a more rehabilitative type of process. We can still criticize those things, but also they have way better results than we do. Like,
oh yeah,
because they actually invest care into the people and the process.
Yeah, even in their prisons. Like I said, how we do everything is wrong. So let's go back to the blog. But yeah,
yep, yep, for sure. All right, primordial waters and ancient Greek mythology. The ideas of early Greek cosmology about the ocean demonstrate a typologically more advanced stage, when the image of Oceanus becomes the object of pre-scientific research and natural philosophy. Oceanus is presented first of all as the greatest world river, surrounding the earth and the sea, giving rise to rivers, springs, sea currents, shelter of the sun, moon, and stars, which they rise from the ocean and enter it. The ocean river touches the sea, but does not mix with it. In the extreme west, the ocean washes the boundaries between the world of life and death. In Homer, Oceanus is without beginning. In Theogony 282, Hesiod presents a folk etymology of the name Pegasus as derived from the spring or well, Pege, spring well, referring to the Pegae of Okeanos, where he was born. In Homer and Hesiod, the ocean is a living being, the progenitor of all gods and titans. But Oceanus also had parents. According to Hesiod, Oceanus is the son of the oldest of the titans, Uranus and Gaia. Oceanus is the brother and husband of Tethys, from whom he gave birth to all rivers and sources, 3,000 daughters, Oceanids, and the same number of sons, river flows. The gods revere Oceanus as an aged parent, take care of him, although he lives in solitude. Oceanus did not participate in the battle of the Titans against Zeus, and retained its power and the trust of the Olympians. Oceanus is the father of Metis, the wise wife of Zeus. Known for his peacefulness and kindness, Euripides tried unsuccessfully to reconcile Prometheus with Zeus. Herodotus contains criticism of the mythological concept of Oceanus as a poetic invention. Euripides was called the ocean the sea. Since that time, a tendency has been established to distinguish between a large outer sea, ocean, and an inland sea, or an inland seas. Later, Euripides begins to divide the ocean into parts: the Ethiopian Ocean, Etruscan Ocean, Gallic Ocean, Germanic Ocean, Hyperborean Ocean, etc. Primordial waters and ancient Indian mythology. In Indian cosmology, there is an idea of darkness and the abyss, but also of the primary waters generated by night or chaos. Ancient Indian myths about the oceans contain both typical and original motifs. In Mandala 10 of the Rigveda, the original state of the universe is presented as the absence of existing and non-existent. Airspace and sky above it, death and immortality, day and night, but the presence of water and disorderly movement. In the waters of the eternal ocean, there was life-giving principle generated by the power of heat and giving birth to everything else. Another mandala of the Rigveda contains a different version. Law and truths were born from the kindled heat, hence the surging ocean. Out of the tumultuous ocean, a year was born, distributing days and nights. The Rigveda repeatedly mentions the generative power of the ocean. Multiple, it roars at its first spread, giving rise to creations, the bearer of wealth. Its thousands of streams flowing from the depths, it is said that the ocean is the spouse of rivers. The cosmic ocean forms the frame of the cosmos, separating it from chaos. The ocean is personified by the Varuna, who is associated both with the destructive and uncontrolled power of the waters of the oceans and with fruitful waters that brings wealth to people. The churning of the ocean milk myth contains the motif of the confrontation between the elements of water and fire. As a result of the rapid rotation, a whorl lights up, Mount Mandara. but trees and gases emit their juices into the drying ocean. This motif echoes the Tungus myths about the creation of the earth by a celestial being, which, with the help of fire, dries up part of the primordial ocean, thus reclaiming a place for the earth. The motif of the struggle of water and fire in connection with the theme of the world ocean is also present in other traditions. Indian mythology is characterized by the image of the creator god, Brahma or Vishnu, floating on the primary waters in a lotus flower, on the Naga Shisha. Kurma, also known as tortoise, is an avatar of Vishnu, who is depicted as churning the cosmic ocean. Vishnu adopts the form of a tortoise to help hold the stick used to churn the cosmic ocean.
Right, and see there, it said it was a stick.
Yeah.
And in the video, it says a mountain. But remember, Corey, yeah, same thing. That's why I said when people think that I'm like, adding those inaccurately, I'm like, no, I'm adding them accurately.
Yeah, that's right. It's connection that exists even often within the belief structures.
Correct. Yeah, there's some where it's the stuff is separate, but here's one where no, they're all disconnected.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So primordial waters and ancient Iranian mythology. Vaurukasha is the name of a heavenly sea in Zoroastrian mythology. It was created by Ahura Mazda, and in its middle stood Harvest Pok, or the tree of all seeds. Another cosmic ocean from Persian mythology is Fraxkard. According to the Vendidad, Ahura Mazda sent the clean waters of Vurukasha down to the earth in order to cleanse the world, and sent the water back to the heavenly sea, Putika. This phenomenon was later interpreted as the coming and going of the tide. At the center of the Vurukasha was located the Harvest Potkom, yeah, can't say that right, tree of all seeds, which contains the seed of all plants in the world. There is a bird, Sinamru, on the tree, which causes the bough to break and the seeds to sprinkle all around when it alights. At the center of the Vurukasha also grows the Geo Karena, or white Haoma, considered to be the king of healing plants. It is surrounded by 10,000 other healing plants. In later times, Vurukasha was connected to the Persian Sea and the Putika with the Gulf of Oman. Primordial waters and ancient biblical mythology. In the first creation story in the Bible. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, now the atheists are like going, finally, man.
Finally. We gotta debunk the Christian stuff, right?
Yeah, we'll get to it. It's just not super important.
Yeah, that's right.
How much you got that already? It's not super important.
It's not that important. Yeah. It came so late. Like
right, yeah. Like you mean the ones that are 6,000 years old and we're already telling these stories? Or we're supposed to think of the ones that, happened 3,000 years later. Like,
yeah, that's right. So in the first creation story in the Bible, the world is created as a space inside the water, or tehom, and is hence surrounded by it. God said, "Let there be an expanse in the midst of the water, that it may separate water from water." God made the expanse, and it separated the water which was below the expanse from the water which was above the expanse. And it was so. It is not clear.
Right, no, but so Corey goes, excuse me, is that the Mount of Creation?
Right.
Was that a really long and bizarre way to say we believe in the Mount of Creation?
Yeah, for sure.
Like you could have done it with less words.
Yeah, it didn't have to be that obtuse.
Right? You're just literally talking about the same shit.
Yeah. It is not clear as to if this upper water refers to the clouds or a sky ocean beyond the stars. There are hints, though, that indicate the cosmic ocean was enveloped in thick clouds. In the book of Exodus, the cosmic ocean is the Yam Suf. and is mentioned in Exodus 15:4, the Song of the Sea. The army of Pharaoh was thrown into the sea of extinction. Yahweh rises Egypt up from the sea. Sargon II, ruler of the Neo-Assyrian Empire, is said to have washed his weapons in the cosmic ocean. The cosmic ocean is mentioned again in Joshua 1:4 and signified as a boundary of the universe. In the myth of Noah's Ark, after 40 days and 40 nights of rain, the cosmic ocean floods the earth. Then we have a picture showing...
Oh, this is also to show that all of it has to do with flat earth and mounds and mountains. And you start to go, okay, so this is kind of just sort of the similar thing.
Yeah.
And like I said, also, this tells you also why they build pyramids and mounds. And this is helping to grasp why everyone's doing this. So go ahead and read it.
Okay. So the ancient Chinese people believed the sky is a round dome surrounding a flat, square-shaped earth. The ocean goes all around the earth. The sun travels in a big tilted circle. At night, the sun is not under the earth, but rather on the side of the earth. The ancient Egyptians believed the earth is flat. The sky is like a flat plate, supported at 4 places by mountains. The sun is carried across the sky in a boat from east to west. At night, the sun is carried back to the east through the underworld. In ancient India, it was believed that the earth is a circular disk surrounded by the ocean. In the center of the world is a great mountain. The sun goes around the mountain once a day. In the evening, the sun goes behind the western side of the mountain. It travels behind the mountain at night and comes out on the eastern side in the morning. Most ancient Greeks believed that the earth floated in the ocean like a cork in the water. One person named Anaximander thought that the earth was a cylinder with a rounded top, floating in the air. The sky surrounded the earth, and beyond the sky was a region of fire. The sun, moon, and stars were holes in the sky, through which the fire could be seen.
So what do you think after that? You start to hear similar stuff, though.
Oh, for sure. Like, yeah, especially like the flat earth. There's always the water. There's always the mountains. And I mean, they have slightly different explanations of what the sun's doing, but it's always there.
Right.
Yeah.
You see, right. So once again, I'm showing you more stuff to prove this is really staying the similar stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not misreading this.
Right.
So then the next thing says flat earth mythology, a kind of square base or a mound pyramid.
Yeah. So then
go ahead and read that stuff on that picture.
How ancient cosmology shaped everyone's theology. And then there's images from Egyptian, Sumerian, Hebrew, Hindu, Mayan, Inca, Navajo, and Norse mythologies.
And there's more, but yeah.
Right. These are just the ones on the picture. Yeah. And it says at the bottom, sacred flat earth, often with hills or mountains, mound of creation, or axis mundi. And yeah.
And after learning all this stuff that I've taught you, that it's starting to make a lot of sense, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like you say, the world tree or the mountain, world mountain,
right?
Like, yeah, it's always there.
Yeah, so now if you read mythology, I swear it's not like before. Because you'll hear something and you're like, oh, wait a minute.
I've heard this before. This makes sense. I understand where they got that.
So you see, too, where I'm showing how they're all similar. How can you say when they're almost all doing the similar stuff, have the similar beliefs, and not say they're related? Come on.
Yeah, yeah. It's just too close. So ancient cosmology shaped everyone's theology. Sacred flat earth, often with hills or mountains, mound of creation, or axis mundi. Cosmology in the ancient Near East refers to the plurality of cosmological beliefs in the ancient Near East, covering the period from the 4th millennium BCE to the formation of the Macedonian Empire by Alexander the Great in the second half of the 1st millennium BCE. These beliefs include the Mesopotamian cosmologies from Babylonia, Sumer, and Akkad, the Levantine or West Semitic cosmologies, from Ugarit and ancient Israel and Judah, or the biblical cosmology, the Egyptian cosmology from ancient Egypt, and the Anatolian cosmologies from the Hittites. This system of cosmology went on to have profound influence on views in early Greek cosmology, later Jewish cosmology, patristic cosmology, and Islamic cosmology, including Quranic cosmology.
So Corey goes, oh, wait a second. So Corey's like, yeah, like Damien said, all this is related. And they're saying, yeah, all this is related.
Yeah, that's right. So these ancient beliefs all had heavy influence on these kind of sort of more modern beliefs.
Correct. Totally. That's why when people think, like I said, these things are special, I'm like, oh man, these are like versions of a version of another version and a version.
Yeah. Yeah. The more recent it is, the more farther down the family tree it is, I guess.
Yes, that's exactly correct. Totally correct. Yes. See, you're getting, that's why I call it the tree of lies. You're starting to get it's a family tree, right? I call it the tree. Sure. But now, doesn't it make more sense? I say the tree of lies, exposing the evolution of religion. Is that not what I do?
Absolutely.
And show and removing the rationale of faith. That's the name of my book, The Tree of Lies and Its Hidden Roots, exposing the evolution of religion and removing the rationale of faith.
Nice.
And that's, I think, what I literally do.
Yep. I think that's accurate. Yep, for sure.
So, but also in the book, before I wasn't going to, but I decided I changed my mind. I was going to try to make it like more at the beginning. I was going to make it more like an atheist book, but now I'm putting some of my political ideas in it because I'm like, you know what? Fucking gives a fuck. That's what I do now, anyways. So because I've told you I was going to produce this book like 6 years ago. So I've changed as a person. So I'm going back through some of this and going, that's good, but I would now do it a little bit different.
Right. Yeah. No, that's fair. It's one of those things like you can definitely update it based on the ideas that you hold more forefront in your thoughts.
Well, and also sometimes before I had the same or similar beliefs. Like I haven't really changed. I just have better proof of why they're accurate.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's been a lot of stuff. Stuff since then. Yeah, for sure.
You get what I'm saying? Is that because it's not like Graham Hancock where he's yet to find stuff that proves what he says.
Right.
The more shit that comes just keeps proving what I say.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways. So it's important to understand this stuff because it literally, once again, like they're saying there, you do need to understand all this is related. Yeah. So Damien's not crazy trying to make it all related, and it shouldn't. It is. You're the one that has the wrong understanding.
Yeah, like so. This section is from the Wikipedia page, Cosmology in the Ancient Near East, and it says right in there this system of cosmology went on to have profound influence on other more recent ones.
Exactly. Right. I'm just showing you that. That's why I people like don't understand. I don't think that every single thing on some Wikipedia could have inaccuracies. But when it comes to like archaeology and DNA and stuff, this shit is like in language, it's pretty excellent, actually.
Yeah.
Even John Hoops has said that.
Yeah.
Hoops had said that when it comes to, he says the archaeology geeks or something like that, or whatever, get in there and then put like all kinds of obscure facts and everything. I mean, which is wonderful.
And then they back it up, with
wonderful, great,
Yeah, for sure.
Fucking love that. I think because to me it's so anarchist. Like Wikipedia is just
yeah. It's like what the internet was supposed to be, actually.
Fuck yeah, it's fucking great.
Instead, we got Twitter.
Yeah, really. Yeah. But anyways, so my point is that this is well known. This is not so. But what I do is these people are thinking this, but I show, like you said, that we can know not just trusting the mythology, the language.
Yeah.
How they moved, the DNA, how they moved, right?
Yeah,
The cultures, how they moved. And then, like you said, animal husbandry and stuff. Yeah, it makes a big difference.
Yeah. There's just too many lines of evidence that show like that these things happened in conjunction with one another.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's why I think it's more important. Like, so that's what I mean is there's people that have known some of these myths are similar, but you didn't have the confidence to say. Just like there's some people that say, oh well, the languages might have done this or that, but there's not a lot of confidence because they're using linguistics. The reason I know is because I understand the DNA connected to that linguistics, what the DNA was doing, what the culture then happened when it went, and you put all those together, these people are doing it. That's them. And they took their beliefs with them. Like I said, once again, not a stretch either.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
That's like almost intuitively like, duh. Like,
for sure. Yeah. Like, yeah, that's right.
Doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Anyways, so, but I think that's the issue that is hard for people. I know that, but these are the facts.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's right.
Because there's someone to remember that one person said that it was Native American that I'm colonizer because I'm like removing the belief in his religion. And it's like, well, you can believe it if you want. I'm showing you why you shouldn't. And if you want to keep it as a culture, go for it. But I'm saying that just grasp that it's culture.
Right. I guess on some level, I get where somebody might be coming from if they feel like their identity is wrapped up in their culture and they feel like it's being negated in a way. But I also feel like this is just where the facts lay, right? And it's not on us to be like, okay, but if you want to believe whatever you want to believe, then go ahead. Like, we're not saying you can't believe that or follow your cultural traditions. We're just saying, like, this is where they came from.
Yeah, this is what came from this, and they're either, like I said, either all part of the same religion, so everyone is dissimilar. And actually, like I said, in the long run, the Native American beliefs, when time the Europeans got there, would have been the more closer to the more accurate,
right?
To the originals I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So in a sense, they have the more clear version.
Yeah, that's right.
Pure version,
quote unquote pure.
Yeah. I'm not. You get what I'm trying to say is that, or people in Siberia, or whatever. So, like some people try to say the Turks and the Mongols, but I think that those actually are the more closer to the older stuff. To me, that's closer to the 6,000-year-old whatever stuff beliefs or older. But saying those, those are. And so people came into the United States, also at around that time, from 6,000, 5,000, 4,000, they were coming in.
Yeah.
And before that, 7 and 8 probably came in, and then before that also, and before that. But my point is that's why the beliefs are like that, because they kept coming in. And but a lot of the older ones also have similar beliefs, right? Because the older ones, like I said, this has been happening. The paganism to me is like 12,000 years old. So, and it probably immediately, because sometime around 12,000 years ago, I don't know, the people left X DNA with some male, of course. Female didn't go by itself.
Right.
But X DNA, I don't remember now which male, but X DNA goes to Siberia, and then from there, or right before there, one goes to France and has turtle beliefs in the first dolmens. And remember I told you, then goes over to the Americas and makes dolmens and has, turtle beliefs. And then the ones that stay in the middle of that, in the Cossack Mountains, also with the dolmens.
Yeah.
And so you can see, like we were talking about things move, you can see that it's moving. And then where it goes, they're doing the similar things. But like I said, when the artists also understand it's all similar mythology. So just like, to me, a lot of this mythology came before gods. So gods is paganism. So I think this mythology really starts in shamanism. So I think it could go back 15,000, 30,000 years or something.
Right.
Some of the stuff, right? The birds and all this, because you see them making bird figurines and all this. So I mean, they're definitely something. Yeah, that's
Something's
mythology.
going on. Yeah.
Yeah, that's before. I'm just making a comment. I think that, but then that shamanism, like I told you before, to me goes down to the Middle East, and then the one that did totem poles probably that we know the oldest totem pole in Russia or Siberia, right? 11,600 or 400, something like that. Anyways, I think it's called Slinkler Idol. But anyways, then the DNA, which probably was RB1, or R1 A, not B, R1A.
Okay.
So with R1A DNA, and it goes 12,000. It goes from there, right? The same people that did that totem pole, but left a little bit earlier, goes down, and it's 12,300 is in northern Saudi Arabia. I was trying to think of the name. Northern Saudi Arabia and sort of, some of Iraq and southern Turkey, whatever. The same, like, almost in the place that Göbekli Tepe and all that, right? It's just
right
there and then down. So, but they came into the area. The same people are making idols that look, and people have said that face looks a lot like the stone ones in Turkey at Göbekli Tepe. So, and I think absolutely it probably has similar stuff, and it's about 13,000 or something, 12,000 time of all these totem pole things start getting made. They're all made but some were 12 to 11 or whatever, and then that's the Göbekli Tepe. But also up there in the thing is 11 something. It's totem poles that are being made with faces. And stuff. So I think it absolutely is the same thing. So it's a totemistic shamanism, which I told you before how that happened, but that stuff hits, the Fertile Crescent, and then in the Fertile Crescent, they are because of all these people coming in, are utilizing the land differently. But they're coming from Siberia, so they're used to different land. They come down and they start using the land a little differently. And I think that's actually what got into farming, because these people are more resourceful in a sense. I think the newer people, not because they're smarter or better, but they have to live in a harsher environment.
Right. So they adapt.
Yeah. You have to eat grasses because you're in grassland. You're in the steppe lands. You're not pretty trees or whatever, or not that many animals. You know what I'm saying? You're limited. So I'm just saying that when you're in the conditions, then motivates the thing. So I don't think it, like, my point is, I'm just saying some people, of course, start to think, that DNA did everything. Well, no, I think they were struggling more. So when they went down to a place where it's more bountiful, they're like, yeah, that's great bounty, but what about all this stuff too? In a sense, I think.
Right.
Motivated them to, it makes them even, more fruitful or whatever. But then, so I don't think paganism in a sense starts like as soon as they get there, but it's not that much after that it starts. And that's also the same time of the mace heads. 11,000 to 12,000 years ago is the oldest mace head. And the same place that has the most, in a sense, stone cut pottery that looks like you could sell it today. It's so like ridiculous. I said before I seen it, there's like 300 of them. Like, someone forced that. That
right.
That did not occur naturally.
Right.
No. You had variation. If it was just artistics doing what they wanted, variation. The fact that everything is way more standard looking and stuff, and like it's stupid, like the little tiny lips and really thin. Like, who's checking this? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it just shows some form of oppression or authority to me. And like I said, then you see the mace head there. Well, that's a sign of authority. Even if they weren't hitting people in the heads, it's a threat to hit people in the heads.
Right. Yeah.
Just like I said, when a cop pulls out his gun just to ask me questions at a traffic stop, yeah, it's a threat.
Yeah, that's right.
And of course, I'm supposed to not be afraid because it's a threat by a non-counselor.
Yeah. Very strange.
So I'm just let's go back to the thing though, the cosmology of the Near East and stuff.
Yeah, so we've got now until the modern era, variations of ancient Near East cosmology survived with Hellenistic cosmology as the main competing system. Ancient Near Eastern cosmology can be divided into its cosmography, the physical structure and features of the cosmos, and cosmogony, the creation myths that describe the origins of the cosmos, in the texts and traditions of the ancient Near Eastern world. The cosmos and the gods were also related, as cosmic bodies like heaven, earth, the stars were believed to be and or personified as gods, and the sizes of the gods were frequently described as being of cosmic proportions. Cosmography. Ancient Near Eastern civilizations held to a fairly uniform conception of cosmography. This cosmography remained remarkably stable in the context of the expansiveness and longevity of the ancient Near East. But changes were also to occur. Widely held components of ancient Near Eastern cosmography included a flat earth and a solid heaven or firmament, both of which are disc-shaped. A primordial cosmic ocean. When the firmament is created, it separates the cosmic ocean into two bodies of water. The heavenly upper waters located on the top of the firmament, which act as a source of rain. The lower waters that the earth is above and that the earth rests on. They act as the source of rivers, springs, and other earthly bodies of water. The region above the upper waters, namely the abode of the gods. The netherworld, the furthest region in the direction downwards below the lower waters. Kaiser, categorizing ancient Near Eastern cosmology as belonging to a larger and more cross-cultural set of cosmologies, he describes as a cradle cosmology, offers a longer list of shared features. Some cosmographical features have been misattributed to Mesopotamian cosmologies, including the idea that ziggurats represented cosmic objects reaching up to heaven, or the idea of a dome or vault-shaped as opposed to flat firmament. Other controversy concerns if the ancient Near Eastern cosmography was purely observational or phenomenological. However, a number of lines of evidence, including descriptions from the cosmological texts themselves.
You know what phenomenological is?
Not really. I mean, I kind of do, but yeah.
Yeah. I do think it's occurring, going back to our biases or whatever kind of things we talked about, free will and whatever. But so how we perceive the world is, in a sense, the phenomenology of the world. It doesn't mean it's accurate. Like if I see a picture that looks like a mountain scene and stuff, I may for a second forget that's just paint.
Okay.
That is the phenomenological experience to looking at art.
Okay.
So it's like your experience. So that's why it's one guy said, "Oh, Damien, you shouldn't care about that. It's not true." I'm like, yeah, but it's true to people's reactions.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, Corey feels good when he sees a mirror psychologically, because it makes you feel like there's depth.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not trapped in the room in a sense.
Right.
So even though it's not.
Right. It's not physically true, but it feels.
It's just like when you paint certain colors, it can make you feel that way. That's the phenomenological experience in a sense. So it's like that. So that's why sometimes people say, well, these myths are explaining the cosmos. And so, Damien, you're being too harsh, or whatever. It's like, yeah, I'm not denying that people have phenomenological experience, even to myths.
Right.
That when they hear myths, it gives them inspiration or gives them these feelings. The myths are not doing anything in a sense, but you're getting something out of it. And just like think, if you were not a Christian and you were told that someone had to suffer, and only after suffering and dying for a little while was the deity that it relates to happy to forgive? I mean, does that sound like a good deity, or are we talking about the devil? Just literally, if you didn't have the Christian viewpoint,
right,
and I didn't tell you what part of the Bible or what the agent was that doing this, how would you not? Does that not sound like what they would think devilish?
Yep.
You get my point. It's only because of your Christian perspective that you're like, that was the greatest thing ever. Really? Was it?
Right. Yeah. It's yeah.
Right. You get what I'm trying to say is it all of a sudden doesn't like original sin. Wait a minute. So let me get this straight. Two people that the God invented and could have done anything he wants to make them be their best, right? Or whatever. Leaves them alone, because that's what good parents do with their children. Leaves them alone in a dangerous environment.
Yep.
With dangerous people, right? The snake serpent was in there.
Yep.
Right. And then blames the kids.
Yep. Yep.
What just that alone is already like, excuse me, what parent could come to you and justify, like, you agree, right? Fucking fuck those kids. God damn it. They got raped, I know, but and I left them with the rapist and I left them in total fucking danger, but fuck them.
Yeah. No, it's
right. That's why I was talking about perspective too.
Yeah.
I feel like once you understand all this, how religion is, your perspective changed. I don't know how you can look back and then see it that old way.
Yeah. No, it doesn't.
Because they look at the cross and the suffering and everything. That's the most beautiful thing in the world. And I'm like, how do you come to that logic?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's only because of their perspective, their
That's it.
particular viewpoint.
Right.
Yeah.
So you get what I'm saying? Once you see a different viewpoint, though, then the moral of it's terrible.
Yeah.
Fucking seriously terrible. Especially if we even buy the bullshit, right? That is supposedly this is an innocent person being tortured.
Right.
How is that better? That's literally more devilish, is it not?
Yeah. That's
I mean, we would call that person what? The best citizen or terrible, mad person.
Yeah. You don't generally torture innocent people and still be considered
good.
Ethical. Yeah.
Right. In any fucking way, right?
Yeah.
You get what I'm trying to say is that the problems, that's what I was saying about when you understand this. Some people hear all this stuff and they still believe their religions. But to me, I think it's the same as what we're saying here. How do you not see that this isn't ethical?
Right.
And you have no ethical reason to believe this. This was stories that people made up that didn't understand the world.
Yeah.
If you want to hold that as culture, like I said, fine. I have no problem with that. I don't even have any problem with actually seeing it as real, other than that I hope that you don't somehow use that to go harm people. That's
right. Yeah, it's the same thing as we were saying before. Is like, yeah, you have the right to believe whatever or be wrong if I think you're wrong, but just you don't get to hurt people or impose your will on others who don't happen to share that viewpoint.
Yeah. And I also personally told you, I feel that I don't know why we don't see children as citizens, that they have some rights. Yeah. Like, I understand they're under their parents' care.
Yes. But that's the emphasis, right? That's
right.
supposed to be the emphasis.
But let's just say, too, if they take it away from the parents and they give it to someone else, is there still not an ethical responsibility not to hurt them? Of course there is.
Yeah.
Right? So it's about care.
Yeah. Why is it different when it's the parents and
not
some stranger? Exactly.
Literally fucking not to me.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm saying is that that's why I feel like that we should see children have rights, but I also think children have rights and responsibilities up to their level of development, because we also should not see children inaccurately. That they're by birth they're a full adult. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
No, yeah, exactly.
So but that I told you before too. Before every stuff, even axiology in a sense, I'm the only master that I really have is reason. Because I realize that's the part thinking can occur, but that doesn't mean it's reasonable.
Right.
Reason is something clearer, more accurate, more often true or whatever.
Yeah.
So it is the thing that I want to have. And so beyond, and that's why I try to do a good job, and no matter what I'm researching or looking into or thinking about, because I want it to be reasoned. I want it to convince me, if I were to hear it, go, yeah, that sounds like that's got to be the answer.
Right. Yeah, if I didn't already think this, I want to be able to say, hey, yeah, that sounds right.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so, like I told you too, I don't want you to believe me. I want you to understand. And so that's why I spend so much time in this stuff, and why I care, because I know that if you understood as much as me, you would be so much freer about religion. Like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And even if someone's like, well, it has to be true, like, okay, then it's all true. So, and
yeah.
I feel like it just gives a different perspective that you don't even have to fight as much, because I really already know that it's either all just culture, or if you think it's all has some element of true, well, then all the religions of the world are kind of similar. So stop hating each other, at least.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, yeah, like it's kind of an interesting thought, because the variations on the original idea, right? Like, how did that become like this kind of purist kind of like I'm right and everybody else is evil kind of mentality? I find that interesting.
Well, I don't think it was like that to begin with, because even like in how the paganism, when it would work often with each other, is not outright war because of the gods.
Right.
So I really feel that religion is definitely connected with violence, and has been to me for a long time. But I told you before, it's also connected to capitalism, but also it didn't invent it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's more like capitalism was a tick and got onto a deer. And then you took the deer home, and the tick got onto you.
Right.
Or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. So yeah. That's why I told you, like so, because some people say religion is just for power. I don't think it always was. But yes, it certainly has been, and certainly is now. So
yeah.
I don't. And a lot of people say, well, mine isn't. Yeah, but don't they tell you what to believe? And don't they say they have the only way to the afterlife and the only way to live in this life?
And they tell you who is the bad guys and who is the true believers and the righteous ones.
And as we know, a lot of them are sexist, and a lot of them are homophobic. So, I mean, this is all not like, why would you want to add that to your life or keep that in your life when it's not true and it's harmful?
Yeah.
To me, like, no. But I like I said, I think that this is better than reading the Bible for 3 hours.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. That Bible is boring, actually. I don't find it interesting at all. Yeah.
No, but I mean, and I'm not, against people reading the Bible. There's atheists that do that. Like, I don't feel all of us have to do everything.
No, that's right.
I mean, I don't do what Justin does, or would I have enough desire to do it? Because I told you, I cannot stand learning about politicians.
Right.
I just feel like I'm just learning about what different colors of dog shit is. I mean, it's
right.
I don't really want to learn this.
Yeah. No, that's.
But I'm not against it. People should. I'm just saying, for me, I'm so glad that wasn't the path that I took.
Right.
I couldn't do it, and I probably wouldn't do a good job because I wouldn't like it. So
yeah. And we definitely all have different paths and different methods of.
Right. I'm just making the comment. Yeah. I don't think mine's the only or the one that, Yeah. I think that how I see it, like even Justin, right? I see both of us are educators.
Yep.
Right. And we're trying to, benefit the public with free education. I fucking think that's awesome as hell.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm just saying, even though I particularly don't like, learning about all the politicians like he talks about or reads.
Right.
I still appreciate that he's doing education in the public. So like, that's another thing too, is I don't have to like everything to appreciate its value.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
I should be reasoned enough to not have my biases always in the way.
Yeah, exactly. It's like ice cream flavors, right? Like, yeah, like I don't have to like the same ice cream flavor as you, and that doesn't mean that either of us is a bad person.
Right. But I also, like I said, it doesn't mean that we're in competition of who's better.
Yeah.
If we're both educating people and making a difference, that is what fucking matters. Because really, even one person cannot do a revolution.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
You know? So I feel like it's completely wrong to think, especially like individuals, like, come on, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we need each other. So, I mean, that's why also, like, this one person said to me, some people need religion. And you go, what do you, if you take away religion, what are you going to fill it with? And I said, what do you take away mythology? What do you fill it with? You see, in a sense, that's how I hear it. Right. If you mean like community, well, then go do community things. There's meetup groups you can do. I used to go to tons of them.
If you mean like a sense of wonder or awe about the world, we can have that without,
Right. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I always say the same thing. I don't think we need to have something.
Yeah.
You're acting as if we ever even needed religion. I don't think we ever needed it, ever.
Yeah. I'm not convinced it's a requirement.
No. Just like the fact too that there's religions that don't have gods. Well, then see, we didn't need gods. So people go, well, we needed a god. No, there's religions that don't have gods. So obviously you can't exist without gods. In a sense, like, that's why what I'm pointing out is that when people say, well, some people need it. I always feel like you're just justifying that some people are going to keep believing. So you just call that needing it. But that you actually haven't demonstrated they need it.
Right. I also think that a lot of that is cultural too, right? Like the fact that people believe that they need it. If we changed our culture.
Totally correct. Yes. If you saw the accuracy like we're demonstrating here, and we've demonstrated in like you said, pretty much for 3 years. Right? Because I don't feel like we've deviated really from the message.
It's kind of the core message of the show. So
right. But like I said, also is that my goal is not to go into nihilism because all of a sudden you realize, everything's fucking made up and shit. So that's why also like I feel that having an axiological message, which is positive and human flourishing based, it's going to end up better. Like I said, and so when people ask, what are you going to replace it if? I've already given you something, axiology.
Right.
That's how do you make morality? Axiology. You understand axiology, everything will start making more sense to you.
Yeah.
But so, which I know you never heard of the word before me, right?
Nope. No, I had not.
But you even would agree, right? That you think that it has value.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I think it, if one is looking for a way of doing ethics, this is a method that is extremely helpful, if not superior to other methods.
Right. Especially mine, because in other words, axiology alone is the study of, and there's all kinds of different ways of doing it.
Right. Yeah.
Because the one way is super good for like social science, the formal Hartman way. But that kind of stuff requires calculus.
Mm-hmm.
And so
it's going to be a little difficult for the average person to do.
Right. That's why I told you why you're really following the AtHope style or whatever of axiology, AtHope axiology or whatever, because I've invented a way to do it. It's almost because even when like the formal people see my thing and they're like, that's good.
Right.
You really do understand axiology, don't you? And I said, yes, I do.
Yeah. I found like, because we talked about this a little bit the other night, was like there was that study that showed like axiology analyzing DEI or diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I think that while that might have been a more formal kind of structure, it still has clear relation to the way that you have taught us to do axiology. And so we can still apply, say, AtHope style axiology to this paper that was formal, right?
Correct. Well, that's why I said, even when the formal people see what I explain, because I don't just explain it one way. You see my morality. It has a couple features to it, because it also has the moral love and moral fear, which has to do with a whole bunch of ways of seeing things. And then also has the explaining how justice, right, and care, ethics, and how every time they see that, they just go, keep doing what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah. So like I said, I mean, eventually it probably just could be called when I die or something. This is be called AtHopian ethics or whatever.
Right.
AtHopian axiology probably or whatever. But it's just I've taken these, like, you know, post college or almost, you know, level meta ethics stuff and made it so it's usable and understandable very easy for the general public. So the general public can actually get a accurate and easy sort of morality that's, you know, because they want something easy like the Bible, the 10 Commandments. That's not that easy, but it's close.
Right,
you know?
right.
It's a lot closer because it has ways of thinking that makes things a lot, like you can like pick up the answer. Corey, there's a child and an adult in a car going to burn alive. Who should I save first?
The child.
See what I'm saying? You are, and you understand why do I do it, Corey?
Because the child has systemic value.
You see, once you grasp that, it makes a lot of decisions just easy.
Yeah, that's right.
Like the same thing I try to teach all the time and I also agree as part of anarchism, but it's just a good way to do morality also, is to understand you own yourself. When every individual owns themselves, then I can't force you, right? I can't coerce you. I can't do unethical things. Like, you know, I certainly can't pay you different. Why? We're both equal people. You see what I'm saying? So everything starts to change in how you should behave, especially under how I see it. Because people can take axiology and probably go and have done political stuff, but I don't feel like, once again, like how I do it, clearer and like easier to use.
Right.
And it's still accurate like them in a sense, but easier for everybody to understand and use. Because some of that stuff, you're like, fuck, 10 pages in one period, you know, or something. I mean, it's like you talk about my stuff is dense.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't disagree with pretty much what you're saying, but fuck, this is like seriously hard.
Right.
Like I told you, that's the most things I've ever read. Like, I haven't really read leftist stuff or anything. And I have read a lot of archaeology. Probably that's the most I've read. But besides archaeology stuff, I've read a lot of psychology too. So, but besides those two, because I, you know, being accurate, thinking back, I'm like, okay, maybe, because I was gonna say axiology was real high, but then I was like, well, wait a minute. Actually, I've read more, history the most, and then after that, psychology the next a lot, and then way less axiology. But compared to that, to everything else that I've ever read, like those are like pretty big ones.
Yeah.
Read like 5, like I said, post-college level, you know, or at least doctorate or higher post-doctorate, you know, level, like philosophy and stuff. And that's why they're also surprised, like, how are you doing this, you know, axiology, because it's really fucking hard. Well, also because my brain is able to look at that and see what you're really talking about and then go, well, yeah, I wouldn't have said it like that.
Right. Yeah.
And that's why because they still see it as true, because it is true. I see the ontology that they're seeing. They're explaining it in a very, very complex way. It's not that they're not explaining it. I'm just like, it's beyond what other people can do. Then it's not usable. What fucking good is it? So that's why I tried to, not like out of ego or something, like, because I know before when you said to me, oh, Damien, what is it with atheist or not atheist, with anarchist philosophers that they all want to make their own thing? You said that to me a long time ago. When
is that right?
Yeah, you did. That's I'm willing to hear things. It's not like people need
It kind of is true. A lot of anarchist philosophers do want to just make their own thing.
So I can't say I'm not making my own thing, because I absolutely am. I made, like I said, made my own anarchism, my own socialism, my own mutualism, my own moral philosophy, my own debate strategies, my own archaeology, history stuff, my own anthropology thinking, my own religion thinking.
Right.
But
that is, in a sense, that actually is part of anarchism, right? Is because you don't necessarily take everything that somebody else is saying and just accept it without adapting it to your own perspective.
Literally, though, like I said, that's how I learned all this stuff, and languages and DNA and everything. Yeah. I just didn't believe people. Yeah. So I guess in the form, it was kind of like skepticism. But for me, it was a little bit different. Like I said, I know as a rationalist, even though it could sound like skepticism, still rationalism. Because with me, what I said is, I realized religion is wrong. That did not make atheists right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So you get what I'm saying is, I've been lied to my entire life about literally, I feel like everything. And then, especially as I realized the state was bullshit too. So,
right.
Then I really, because I used to be a far rightist, and now I'm a far leftist. So that also made me realize then society's bullshit. So society's bullshit. Everything I believe is bullshit. I'm like, okay, I feel like I don't know morality. I don't actually know anything.
Time to start over. Yeah.
But I'm just saying, so that's where I didn't trust anyone, because I've been fucking lied to. So I felt that it wasn't like I had some skepticism that, God's real or not. I was thinking, I thought everything I was being lied to. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I stopped believing like fucking, I don't know what the fuck to believe is what I felt like.
Yeah.
That's really, like, there's a picture that I've shared before. It's like an open head and all these parts are on the table. And I don't know what needs to stay and go back or just be let go of.
Right.
Or maybe new stuff needs to be put in, and just none of that. I didn't know. And that's what I started with, was not knowing. And that all the stuff I've researched, since 2006 is because I was in a search to understand. That's why I told you before. Everyone thinks like now I know the truth. Yeah, but I didn't always. Truth has been my seductress. That's how I got to truth.
Just moving towards it all the time is the thing. Yeah.
And so it's been a process, and look how hard I've done to prove that I do know what is true.
Right.
Hard.
There's a lot especially about the religion thing. Like, that's a lot of information that demonstrates what's true and
right, exactly. In a way that, how many atheists prove religion is not true? In a convincing way. You get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
they give questioning it with philosophy and skepticism. Well, that's not going to remove the belief. I'm trying to remove the belief.
Yeah.
I want to remove faith. Gone.
Yeah.
Because it's not warranted. That's the biggest thing to understand. Just like I used to, when someone said God, to say gods. All right. And I started writing it in my book. And now I'm changing some to deity also, or whatever. Or sometimes I say unknown, because I feel like I don't even want to give you that the God even has a meaning. So that's more what I'm at now. Because I went from gods, saying, when people say God, I went to gods. Then I went to God something. I would put it like a one term, God something.
Right.
Whatever that is.
Whatever that happens to be. Yeah.
So, and then I went to just saying it's the unknown. Like, because someone say, well, God does this and God does that. And, God's everywhere, Damien. And God, you can see it in the shining moon or the sun or whatever. And I would say, unknown is in everything. Unknown is in the shining of the moon. Unknown is in the stars.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To show them, this is how I really hear it, because you're not saying anything of value.
Right. You're not actually describing anything. What are you telling me?
God is going out and coming in. I'm like, what does that? Yeah, and so
I don't know what that
unknown
means.
is going out and coming in. But I'm just saying, it's a different technique. I'm going to add more in my book now because it's a different way of fighting their thinking.
Yeah, that is one of my like when you it works particularly well when you're actually having a conversation, less well when you're online with people. But like, just to be like, actually, I don't know what you mean. Like, you got to describe that to me. Like, you got to go get better at this. Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. And here's another thing funny too is why I learned, because that's my thing, to ask people, what is a God?
Right.
Not when they say, well, God is this, and well, okay, first, what is a God? Which I'm actually asking an ontology question, which I told you I learned from my wife, really.
Right.
To think in that way.
Yeah.
Because it's devastating. It's like checkmate, 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 checkmate. And the person's like,
but what do you
even fair.
What is that? Yeah, like what are you talking about? What do you mean?
I said, well, a chair. What do you mean by a chair?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, if a chair is underwater and a fish are around it, it's an obstacle. It's not being used as a chair.
Right. Yeah.
So, or whatever. Anyways, if I stand on it, is it still a chair?
Or is it a stool?
You give it up. Anyways, I'm just making a comment that our perception, and what you make things. We already talked about this is the whole video, right? This is about people's perceptions. They made inaccurate perceptions about reality, and now you have a perception that was true, and other people are bad people because they don't believe that like you.
Right. And at least a chair, like, we have something we can discuss.
Right.
When we talk about like God, I still don't even have like anything I can discuss.
Right, which is actually Gnosticism with an I, which is what actually axiological atheism, that's a position that it has.
Right.
Because it starts with I don't know. So if I don't know, it starts with agnosticism. When you say God, it doesn't, what is that? I'm not going to gift you some fucking justification that also you can't justify.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I'm just saying,
we have to decide what we're talking about then.
Correct. Which is how you do a good hammer of truth that I do, which is ontology, epistemology, and axiology used in tandem.
Yeah.
But first you ask people, what are you talking about? Then that's the ontology. And then you ask, how do you know that? That's the epistemology. And then when you get that information, then you value judge its value.
Right.
And lies are obviously not valuable.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
And lack of evidence is not valuable.
Yeah, for sure.
So or lack of reason or logical fallacies, not valuable.
Yeah.
You get what I'm trying to say is that once you do that, I feel like then if you still believe God, it's emotional. Because it certainly isn't rational.
Right.
Especially after you know all the stuff and how it's all connected. Or watch all the 15 videos that we're going to do.
Yeah.
And then...
Because technically, this is only number 3. Yeah.
Right, number 3. Corey goes, holy shit.
So we've got another 12 videos to do on this.
We have a few more. But don't you feel like that you're actually going to know mythology in a way you never did?
Oh, yeah. No, for sure. Even already, I think I have a lot more information about it than I ever did before. So,
right on.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and I hope everyone else learned too. And, go ahead, Corey, and tell us where to find you and what you're doing.
Sure. I guess my link is down here. It's Linktree/Skeptical Leftist. If you want to check out my YouTube channel, it's The Skeptical Leftist, or on any of the podcast apps. I do interviews with all kinds of people. I talk to Damien once a month about a subject that we've been kind of bandying about. And me and my co-host, Justin, we talk about leftist books or from a Marxist, because he's the one who reads it. So mostly from a Marxist, but I also have my input. So also from an anarchist perspective. And that's kind of the whole deal.
Right on. Well, everybody go check him out and, join his Patreon and help him out.
Always appreciate a little bit more support, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right, everyone. Take care.
Thanks.
Hello, and welcome to my channel. I am Damien Marie AtHope. In the simplest terms, I am an atheist-humanist philosopher and prehistorical writer-researcher at DamienMarieAtHope.com. I am specifically an axiological atheist. An axiological atheism can be thought to involve ethical and value theory reasoned and moral argument driven apatheism, agnosticism, atheism, anti-theism, anti-religionism, secularism, and humanism. Axiological atheists can be understood as a value theory or a value science atheist. As an axiological atheism's ethically reasoned and constructive pro-humanity. I am an axiological thinker, value theorist. The science of goodness, worthiness, usefulness, valuableness, virtue, reliableness, accuracy, validity, morality, integrity, beneficialness, etc., etc. We axiologists have a value consciousness. And in general, we see the architecture of humanistic humanitarianism value in people that we see as dignity beings. Places and things are not. Axiology is a value theory. In its broadest sense, it involves areas of philosophy that are deemed to encompass some evaluative or evaluation aspect. Therefore, it crosses almost all domains in some way or another. Now for a more detailed terms as to what I am. I am an axiological atheist, an anti-theist, an anti-religionist, secularist, humanist, rationalist, writer, artist, poet, philosopher, advocate, activist with schooling in psychology, sociology, as well as I am an autodidact, self-taught in science, archaeology, anthropology, and philosophy. I promote science and am against pseudoscience, pseudohistory, pseudomorality, things that are found in religion.